welcome to the 11th episode of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, GoodNightPunk, and with me as always, not as always, he's been missing for 2 straight freaking weeks, but he's back. That's my buddy Rich. Richie, what's going on, dude?
What's up? Yeah, I was gonna say, usually always, but not me. You've always been here, but I'd like to give a thank you to Jeremy and Wink for filling in while I was traveling around and unable to be here, but I'm excited to be back. And oh, thank you. I see you finally got my backdrop on Twitch.
I fixed
appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited to be back. It's been a couple crazy weeks. A lot of trades, a lot of injuries, lots of fun games to recap, and I'm looking forward to diving in with you.
Yeah, so it has been an interesting. Last week was like a throwback since it had been like 4 months since the 5+ years, almost 6 years that I podcasted with Wink. So that was fun. And then Jeremy was here at my house for the other podcast, which presented all kinds of problems because I've never had the same people in the same studio before. So that was an interesting one. I feel bad for the people that were here for that week. Thank you for being here despite all the issues. But yeah, so we're back. We're back doing it the way we've always done it.
I gotta say, the one that we did a couple weeks ago that we recorded together, where we just did the audio, I liked it. I liked being in the same room. It felt like a morning show on a radio. It was just a little easier to communicate together, and I don't have to worry about my very crappy internet just dropping out randomly.
I mean, it worked pretty well. The only problem I had with it was the fact that we were both staring at my screen and I couldn't watch you as you talked. That was very odd to me.
You couldn't stare into my eyes.
Yes, I need to look you in the eyes as we talk about football.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, so how you been, buddy? It's been a couple weeks. How'd the shows go with Jeremy and Wink? I was on the one with Wink because I ended up not going to California last weekend, so I was actually home and able to join that stream. But with Jeremy, I was in Chicago, so I didn't get a chance to listen to that. And I'm just curious, did he have any crazy thoughts or anything that I missed?
I don't know about crazy thoughts, but as you know,
Like
Jeremy,
Kyler Murray's good.
he had a lot of thoughts about Steve Keim. There was a lot of talk about Steve Keim that on that
I bet
episode.
I'd agree with everything he said about Steve Keim.
Well, I mean, I did, so.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, and then Wink,
Boy.
last week, you heard lots of Packer talk. They're fine. Don't worry about
I
them.
did. They are fine. I mean, there's a picture of Aaron Rodgers laying face down on the turf after losing to the Commanders that just screams, "I'm fine."
Everything's
So,
fine.
yeah, everything's fine. Literally the meme of a guy sitting in the burning room saying, "I'm fine." That's what the Packers are right now. Everything's fine.
We're fine.
We're 3-5. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So,
Awesome. Well, let's dive in. We've got our top 5. So it was up to me this week to do the top 5 since you needed a break from the notes. I completely understand. So what I wanted to go with was the biggest surprises of the season so far. You know, it's week 8. I feel like we're about halfway. Week 8 used to be halfway back when there were 16 games. Now it's like a little under halfway because we got to get fractions involved. But it feels like we're halfway through the season. So I think it's a good time to kind of look at the first half of the season and see what stands out the most to us as far as surprises go. So I'll start us off. My number 5, I just put football in New York because both teams are playing well. And I can't remember the last time that the Jets played well. And for the Giants, it was definitely with Eli, maybe 2009. So it's been a while for those teams. And that city, and good for them. It's exciting. Sucks about Breece Hall. We'll get into that later when we recap that game. But yeah, that's one of the surprises for me is I knew the Giants would be better. I didn't expect the Jets to be this good, and for both of them to be, what are they, 6-1 and 5-2, I think. Let's see. Yeah, 6-1, 5-2. So that's pretty surprising.
To be completely honest, the Jets are the massive surprise in there. I mean, the Giants a little bit of a surprise, but they have decent players. The Jets for the longest time was like, okay, these guys have young guys, but are they decent players? And will they live up to the hype? And it turns out they're doing pretty well. So,
Yeah, they are living up to the hype. I mean, I haven't been blown away by Zach Wilson or any of their receivers really. Obviously, Brees Hall was playing fantastic. So that's a big shame. But look, Sauce Gardner. I've seen a couple highlights from Sauce Gardner the last couple weeks, so he's playing well.
Keenan Williams is an animal. That guy is really freaking good.
Yeah. So the Jets, I mean, it's pretty cool to see. And then the Giants, I saw just about Saquon Barkley. I mean, to see him back healthy, playing lights out, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
So my number one is that offensive numbers are down. I don't know, across the board in all of the NFL. Scores are down, 300-yard passers are down, 100-yard rushers are down, 100-yard receivers are down. Angel with the rating party. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you, friends. Love to see it. But yeah, it's mostly that the NFL offenses are down and it seems like nobody can score. Every time that I bet an over on points, nobody can figure out how to find the end zone. And what is it like? It was like 3 Thursday night games in a row without a touchdown. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that was a pathetic stretch. I was at that Chicago Commanders game. It ended up 12-7. I mean, that was just. Yeah. No, I agree, and you can tell by watching the scoring's down. I'm curious to see, did you look up yardage? I'm just curious to see like how much that's down. I know rushing yards have to be down because every time I look at a recap of a game, no one runs the ball anymore. So I'm very curious to see like what the trend is for rushing yards per game this season compared to the last couple seasons. And then for passing too, because like I said, it's pretty obvious scoring is down. But while you're researching that as our stats guy, I'll go ahead and move on to my number 4, which is the AFC West. I mean, the talk all offseason about the AFC West was that it would have 3 playoff teams or potentially 4 playoff teams. I mean, the Chiefs, obviously, the Chargers, the Raiders got Devontae Adams, so they look good. The Broncos with Russell Wilson. I mean, everybody was so hyping up this division is like, oh man, it could be all 4 teams or 3 teams or whatever could make the playoffs. I don't think all 4 can, but anyways, I'm just really surprised. Obviously, the Broncos are just who knows what the hell they're doing. They're a joke. I mean, Russell Wilson's banged up now.
So bad.
It's terrible. I mean, even before Russell Wilson got hurt, he was playing like crap. Javonte Williams got hurt. They just nothing. Their coaching, the decision making, it's terrible. And with the Raiders, it's like, yeah, they had Devontae Adams. Josh Jacobs has played well the last couple games, but they're 2-4 as well, and just very uninspiring, very unimpressive. I mean, even the Chargers. I'm a little unimpressed with the Chargers. Austin Eckler, not rushing a lot. Keenan Allen's missed most of the season. It's very, and then the Chiefs. 5-2 is a good record, but not when you're the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Everybody expects them to be 7-0, 6-0, that type of thing. So it's very surprising to me how that division is kind of looking right now. And obviously there's still a lot of time left, but I look at the Broncos and Raiders and think those aren't playoff teams. Like, those aren't even competitive teams. And the Chargers may make the playoffs because it's the AFC, but I don't think they're gonna. They're not poised for a run in the playoffs. So yeah, very discouraged with how that division's playing out based off all the hype it had.
It's amazing to me that somehow the Raiders are. I mean, I don't even know who I thought was going to be the worst team in that division, but the Broncos and the Raiders. The Broncos and the Raiders having very similar records is just ridiculous. The Chargers, who somehow have one of the best defenses on paper, are playing like the Washington Commanders. That must be a thing.
Shout out.
If you drop that many picks on your defense, and they should be good, like the Chargers and the Commanders. Maybe they just never will be because there's some kind of losing formula in there. I don't know, but
it's the hype train, man, and it derails around any team that I'm emotionally invested in, which unfortunately includes the Chargers from our time in San Diego. So
exactly.
I consider myself the jinx, and I apologize to all Charger fans everywhere. But yeah, I thought the Raiders would be the worst team in the division. I didn't think they'd be 2-4. Like I was like, oh, they'll probably win 8-9 games and be at the bottom of that division because it's such a strong division. But yeah.
Yeah, the Chiefs are coming on right now. They just got, well, we'll talk about that a little later. They just made a trade to help their offense. Not to mention the fact
though?
Well, let's see.
We'll talk about it later.
We'll get there. My number 4 is all of the legends that are losing their luster. Like when I started writing names, I had 2 in mind here, and it started with Tom Brady, and then it moved to Matt Ryan, but then it also moved to Aaron Rodgers, and then from there it went to Russell Wilson. Like all these top-notch quarterbacks in the NFL are just freaking struggling this year. Like it's bad.
Yeah, and it's funny. I thought about Brady and Rodgers too when you said that. And I forgot about Russell Wilson. And it's like, oh yeah, I mean he kind of fell off a cliff too. Ryan, I thought, I didn't really think that he was going to be that good this season. How old last couple of years.
What are you doing over there? I can't even hear you now. You keep playing with it. I keep losing your audio. I can't hear you. Are you there?
All right.
There you go. You're back.
All right. Those were it like fell. the arm just kind of like did this. So nice. I wanted to fix it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I see you fiddling with your mic, and I'm like, and I'm gonna lose him, and he's gone.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, Matt Ryan. I didn't think Matt Ryan was really, gonna be like Russell Wilson. They gave him so much money, they expected him to produce like he has. Same thing. Rodgers got paid a bunch. Brady. Those are the 3 that it's like, yeah, what in one season they've all just fallen off a cliff. Matt Ryan, I kind of expected this from him. He got traded to the Colts. It wasn't really that impressive the last couple years, but it is shocking that it all happens in one season for all those quarterbacks. Like Ben Roethlisberger kind of phased out on his own. Eli a couple years ago, but for 3 huge future Hall of Fame quarterbacks to all just kind of disappear at once is very weird.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the top of the league, right? You've got Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert. Matt Ryan's in there for yards, but he's got 9 interceptions. He's leading the league right now. Josh Allen, Geno Smith, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, all Lamar Jackson, all the young guys. And then you just got Matthew Stafford down low, second in the league in interceptions. Aaron Rodgers is 11 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, so he's not playing terrible, but their record's terrible. Tom Brady is under 500 for the first time in his career. 45 years old, and he's never been under 2 games under 500. That's insane to me. So, yeah, it's just crazy. The youth movement is happening right in front of our eyes in 2022, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way it stays even after this year. So
yeah, I think Brady absolutely is done after this year. He should have been done after last year.
He should never have come back.
Yeah, he shouldn't have. So there's no reason for him to come back next year. They're not winning the Super Bowl this year. Who knows if they'll make the playoffs. He should be done, and that's fine. He'll still be remembered as the best ever. I see Rodgers getting traded because he doesn't want to go out like this. He doesn't want to be in Green Bay. He wants to go to another team the same way Peyton did, the same way Brady did. They went to another team, won a Super Bowl, and kind of showed like, hey, it's me. It's not everyone else that was around me. I'm the reason we won. Rodgers wants that too. His ego wants that, to be able to say, I went to Seattle and won the Super Bowl, there to prove that it wasn't just Green Bay or wasn't just whatever. So I don't see Rodgers retiring, but I see him not in Green Bay. And as far as Wilson, I'm sure he'll still be in Denver. They'll stick with Hackett. They'll stick with Wilson. They'll just say, it was an off year. We'll try again next year.
No, see, I did the last 2 or 3 years in Seattle. Russell couldn't do anything. It seemed like he couldn't pass for shit, right? And so I'm like, okay, well maybe it was because of what was going on in Seattle. Now he's come to Denver, same story. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's ever going to be like the guy that everyone thought he was, but it's not looking good. So I just think it's interesting that these big names, household names, are just not where they were. So.
The Denver paid Russell Wilson so much money. I don't see they can't cut him, and I don't see anybody trading for him. I think they'll stick it out with him. My deepest fear is that Dan Snyder is going to trade for Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. Dan Snyder is a notorious idiot, so I see him doing something like that, and that's going to really upset me.
Yep. What was your third?
My third, so we talked about the AFC West not being competitive. The NFC West actually is competitive, and I don't mean it's good, but I mean it's not a two-team race. I kind of expected the Cardinals and Rams to run away with this division, with the 49ers third, with Trey Lance kind of learning as he goes, and then Seattle being at the absolute bottom. Instead, we have Seattle leading the division behind Geno Smith, and the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals all have 3 wins. Rams are 3-3 because they've had their bye. So it's all very close. I mean, it's a 1 game separating first and fourth, so it's a very close division, and that's not at all what I expected. Good for Seattle, good for Geno Smith and his career. Bad for the Cardinals. They look like crap, and even though the last Thursday night game against the Saints, they won, they got 14 points from their defense. So let's not act like that was the offense finally catching a rhythm. Yeah, they're 3-4 and at the bottom of that division, and it's almost a perfect flip because it goes Seattle, Rams, 49ers, Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals would be at the top, then the Rams, 49ers, Seahawks. So
yeah, everyone expected the Seahawks to be at the bottom of this division. It's crazy how good Geno is playing, and it doesn't even seem like a flash in the pan, because when it happened at the beginning of the season, it was like a couple games and you're like, okay, he's going to fall off, and he absolutely has not. So
no, he's playing very well, and he fits the scheme, and that of course is what begs the question now of, well, was it Pete Carroll's offense the entire time and Russell Wilson not actually being that good, or is Geno Smith just a lot better than anybody thought he was after 9 years in the league?
We will find out. It's funny because my next one goes hand in hand with yours, and that is that the NFC East is better than the NFC West, and I did not see that coming. Because got
three teams in the NFC East are.
The Commanders' record is on par with 3 NFC West teams.
I know.
So you, as a Commanders fan, when I
watch them with my eyeballs, it's painful.
And what, the Cardinals are better than the Commanders? I don't think so.
Year.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just saying, the Eagles 6-0, the Giants 6-1, the Cowboys 5-2 with one of the best defenses in the NFL, the Commanders at 3-4. That division, no one saw that coming, and there's a very high likelihood that 3 of those teams could be in the playoffs. So
I think so. I think you're going to get.
I don't think there's anyone else. I think it's the other 3 divisions are going to have their champs in, and then you got 3 out of that division.
Yeah, unless the Giants absolutely collapse the rest of the way, the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, they all make the playoffs, and that's good for the NFC East. It used to be called the NFC least for the longest time, so it's nice for them to have a 3 playoff teams coming out of it, and if Washington can finish with 7 or 8 wins, at least we'll be respectable.
Yes, exactly. So that's gonna be an interesting one. I'm really enjoying the Saquon Barkley redemption arc here. So
It is awesome. It is awesome. Now, and while we're talking about that, I just want to ask this question. He is a free agent after this year.
Is he?
Yes, they did not pick up his fifth-year option, so he is a
Smooth.
free agent after this year. Do you think the Giants will re-sign him and give him much money, or do you think they'll let him hit the open market and see what teams offer him?
I think they might offer him. I think he himself might bet on his own self and go into free agency. So they might have
That
to
would
end
be.
up franchise tagging him.
Yeah, I wonder what that would cost. I
A
I
lot.
think he should definitely hit the open market because there's so many teams that need a running back like that. And yeah, running backs, they there's an old joke about like you never pay a running back a second contract or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
there's been a couple that have it's worked out for them when they get re-signed and like Adrian Peterson, things like that. And I mean, hey, maybe Barkley is that type of guy, and it's just cool to see. I'm a fan of the run game. I'm an old school player, so anytime you get a running back that talented, he's just fun to watch.
I was about to say, if you're talking about like James Robinson or players that are like good but not like transitional talents, or not, that's not the word. But once in a lifetime,
Transcendent,
transcendent. That's the word.
transcendent talent.
Yeah, so like Saquon Barkley, I would put him in that category when he's not hurt, and the fact that if he stays healthy this entire season, that's the type of guy that I'd be completely fine with my team paying a bunch of money to.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
all right,
I
what's
agree.
your number two?
My number two is well, we talked about this. Tom Brady acting his age. I mean, the guy looks like a 45-year-old playing football. Which
45 divorcee.
yeah, a 45-year-old divorcee playing football. And that sucks for him because you're always gonna wonder like did coming back cost him his marriage or did he come back because his marriage was already on the rocks? Who knows? Who cares? I don't care about his personal life. It's just a shame to watch him out there being 3-5. And it's not that he's playing terrible. He's not throwing a bunch of interceptions. It's just the team's not coming together. His throws aren't as crisp as they were. He's not reading the defense as well. He's not moving. Well, he never moved very much, but he's not moving at all really. And it's just a shame. The whole team is struggling, and with it definitely going to be his last year. It's just a shame. If he misses the playoffs in his last season, like that's not how you want Tom Brady to go out. But
I mean, he's
that's all right.
already
Well,
setting records he's never set before with losing. 2 games
yeah.
under 500 first time. I heard that stat and I was just floored. It's
Well, and he
crazy.
became the most sacked quarterback in NFL history Thursday night as well.
I remember
I mean,
seeing that, or hearing that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's
Maybe that's what he came back to get.
yeah. He
He's
just
like,
wanted to
I
get.
just wanted a few more hits.
It's like he
Rattle
played
my
20,
brain.
22 seasons, and it took him this long to get that though. Like Justin Fields is going to get that by November. Like
Oh God, who was the not the car that was in
David Carr.
David Carr?
Yes.
That dude.
Let's see
He
again.
probably got more sacks than
Annihilated.
pass attempts in some seasons. That's how much he
Yeah.
got sacked. He's got to
That
be on
was
that list in like 4 years of NFL football in the top 10 somehow.
If you looked at sacks per game, he's got to be at the top of it. Like
No
sacks
doubt.
per game played.
That man.
But yeah,
lived on his
that's
back.
my number two was just Tom Brady. What about you?
All right, for my number two, I've got the Jets and the Sea Chickens not tanking. They're not tanking. Remember we said top 5 teams that might get the number 1 pick this coming year, and we both had the Jets and the Seahawks somewhere in that list. So
I'm pretty sure the Seahawks were my number one. I'm actually going to pull up that note real quick because I'm curious.
I don't
That
remember
was our
what
first
week that
episode,
was.
right?
It was either the first or the second, but
That must be the second.
yeah, they were both high picks for possibilities of number 1 draft picks. And Seahawks are leading their division, and the Jets are 5-2, just behind the 5-1 Buffalo Bills. So absolutely.
All right, here we
insane.
go. It was our third episode. So number 1, we both had the Texans, which seems pretty accurate.
Mhm.
Number 2, we both had the Seahawks. And then I had the Jets as my number 3. You did not have the Jets on there. You had the Giants, though. You had the Giants at your number 5. So
I thought Barkley was going to be gone all year. I'm like, they're not going to be good if Barkley's not there. They don't have a receiver that catches anything.
I know.
And then they got rid of Evan Ingram. It's like, what are they going to do? Somehow
Well,
they got better.
They have Kenny Golladay somewhere. They're hiding him somewhere.
Dude, the media is just bashing the crap out of Golladay. Like, more so than they were before the season, because the season started and he still didn't do anything.
David Carr has the record for most sacks in a single season. Yeah, that sounds
there.
It
is. I told you, dude. That dude got sacked like crazy.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm excited. I enjoy watching the Jets, and I don't watch a lot of AFC teams, but the Jets are fun to watch. I love Zach Wilson. I think his off the field story is hilarious to me.
Yeah, they've got a lot of personality on that team, and I like that. Between Sauce Gardner, Zach Wilson, they are a pretty fun team.
Keenan, Brees, Elijah Moore
Brees
causing his own problems that aren't probably as fun for them. But
I like James Robinson, so to see him move to that team, he's still gonna have an opportunity. Like, that's gonna be they're gonna continue to be a fun team to watch throughout the rest of the year.
What's that average out to, Borns? 267 sacks and 94 career appearances.
Yeah, someone do the math.
As you know from the Shattered Order podcast, I am not a maths guy.
I was going to say, you're the stat guy. You've been pulling up all the stats. Pull out your calculator.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with my number one because when I realized this, it absolutely floored me. The Atlanta Falcons are leading the NFC South right now. Through 7 weeks, they are 3-4 and leading the NFC South.
I'm gonna be honest.
We talked about
the Bucs. Doesn't surprise me.
Well, from what I'm talking about, from the beginning of the year.
From the beginning of the year, but watching them play, it's not surprising me.
Well, watching the Bucs and Saints play, it's not surprising. But I'm just thinking back to the beginning of the year, and it was I think I had the Falcons on my list of top teams to get the number one pick because they've got nothing, and you had the Bucs and the Saints with Winston coming back, and it's like, all right, so those two teams, and the Panthers, who knows? And instead, we've got an entire division under 500, and the Falcons leading it with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. And there's no bigger surprise through 7 games or 7 weeks of the NFL season than the Atlanta Falcons leading their division. Yeah, I guess the Seahawks leading it too. The Seahawks and Falcons both leading their divisions is just insane.
The Falcons have the second most points scored in the NFC. You know who they're behind?
The Eagles?
The Sea Chickens.
Where are the Eagles?
The Eagles are they're third. The Seahawks have 183 points for. Falcons have 163 points for, and the Eagles have 161.
Oh, okay, they're close. Well, and I blame the Lions defense for that Seahawks one because they gave them like 40.
49.
Yeah. 49, yeah. So I blame them for that. But that's still, that's impressive for the Falcons to be that high because, when I think Atlanta, don't think high-scoring games. So that's, again, it's a surprise. Good for them. I no ill will towards the Falcons or Mariota. That's awesome.
I'm going to change my number one.
All right.
Since I kind of already talked about Saquon Barkley and his MVP candidacy.
2.84 sacks a game for David Carr. See, that's 3 sacks a game. That's got to be the top in NFL history. Unless somebody played 1 game and got sacked 4 times.
Yeah, exactly. I'm switching mine to I did not see the Lions being the absolute worst team in the NFL right now.
Are they really?
They have the worst record. They're in line for the number 1 pick.
They're worse than Houston because Houston has the tie. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming 10 seconds ago.
Yeah. I thought about this at the beginning of the week after all the games were done, and I'm like, well, now that everything's said and done, the Lions have the worst record in the NFL. That is. Yeah. Through the first 4 games, they had the highest scoring offense in the league. Somehow they have the worst record in the league as well.
That's crazy. That's just the the defense. Because you look at a lot of those games, even this game against Dallas, which we'll talk about in a second, it was close right up until the end. I mean, the Seahawks game, that game, the Eagles game, like the Vikings game, it feels like the Lions are always competing and really close. So yeah, I definitely don't think of them as the worst team in the NFL.
No. See, God, but every game they play, they make me feel like they are. Every game that Goff plays, every game that Goff plays, I know we're the worst team in the NFL. I am so sold on just cutting him now. It wouldn't be any worse than you are.
Guarantee yourself that number one pick.
He's so bad, and it's to the point where I don't want to watch because I just know he's going to give the games away. He's so bad, so bad. Fumbles, interceptions at the worst possible time. Just so freaking terrible.
All those terrible Cardinal quarterbacks we put up with. John Skelton, Max Hall.
Max Hall.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they should have, obviously, I mean, they're going to have a top 3 pick, so they'll have a chance at a quarterback. Depends on which one they get. I mean, sitting here on October 28th, it looks like it'll be Stroud, Bryce Young, or maybe Will Levis as the top 3, but hey, things always change. No one was talking about Joe Burrow at this point in 2019, and then that dude went off. So
I would literally take a man off the street at this point. I would take a high school quarterback at this point. I'm
Johnny
done
Utah.
With him. Yeah. What's the guy? Uncle Rico. You can put
Uncle Rico. But I can throw this football over the mountains.
Exactly. So yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So been a pretty surprising start to the season. Definitely in a couple different areas. I'm looking forward to where we are at the end of the season and to see what has held up and what has changed.
Bourne says Ian Book has the highest average. 1 game sacked 8 times.
Yeah, see, yeah, that's. I want to say like you got to have at least started 10 games. So I'm curious which Bourne's doing all of our research for us. So appreciate that.
Bourne's is the man.
He's like our intern, just doing all the research.
Love it.
All right, so let's dive into a review of Week 7. We'll start off with the Lions and Cowboys game, actually, and I figured you can kind of touch on this a bit more. I was watching the Packers-Commanders at the time, so I didn't get to watch it, but I do remember the game. Yeah, see, the Cowboys scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, and I do remember Goff having, 3 turnovers?
Yeah, 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles lost.
2 fumbles lost.
And you also have Jamal Williams fumble on the 1-yard line.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is heartbreaking.
He fumbled on the 1-yard line. Where is this? It was 6-10. The Lions were down 6-10. He fumbled on the 1-yard line, and from there the game fell apart. Their next possession, interception. Their next possession, fumble. Their next possession, fumble. They gave away the game. They were playing the Cowboys, who are considered one of the better teams, with one of the better defenses. They were playing them very close, and then they go and lose 24-6 because they just completely fell apart.
Did Goff's interceptions come after that point, or were they?
1 interception came after that point. The 2 fumbles came after that point because what Jared Goff likes to do is have the ball hiked to him, stand in the backfield, and then just take sacks. Doesn't throw the ball away, doesn't try to move, literally does nothing except stand there and crumple like a paper doll. So,
I mean, I do believe that the Lions have made improvements in some areas. So I look at Dan Campbell and think he does have a plan. He does know what he's doing. So hopefully he knows that Goff's got to go. That's my only fear is that if he believes in Goff or if they just like him as a guy, he's fun to shoot pool with or whatever, that they won't make a move. But I have faith in Dan Campbell. I will say. I know the Lions are 1-5, but the games I've watched them play, and you look at some of the players that they have that they've drafted and signed, I feel like they are getting somewhere. And I know you are tired of,
No moral victories.
yeah,
Ever.
no more. Yeah,
You win
so
or you lose.
I
I'm
get
tired
that,
of it.
but I look at it as a journey, and I feel like they are fine. They finally have like they have a path in front of them instead of just wildly wandering around the forest.
I call me Frodo because this journey's been 22 years long. That's how long we've been doing this. We've been walking a long time. I don't even fucking see Mordor. Okay.
Speaking of which, totally off topic. Have you watched Rings of Power on Amazon?
I did. I loved it.
Dude, it was fantastic. That finale, like the
finale
last 2
was-
episodes were so good.
I like all. There's. I don't know why people dog on that show. I like so many of the characters.
Well, there was a black elf, and that's the end of the world to some people. But yeah. Oh, get on Twitter.
I never caught any of that, and I'm glad because
Yo, you never saw that? Oh, I'm dead serious. Like people lost their damn minds over that. But yeah, I mean, the characters. I love the characters they expanded on that you like get mentioned in the books or the movies, and then they expand on them.
Dude, seeing young Elrond. I
hate
Elrond.
Young Elrond.
I hated the
Durin.
old Elrond. New Elrond. He's a bad
Well,
one.
that's because he was Agent Smith from The Matrix. You couldn't not hate that face after The Matrix came out.
After The Matrix, you can't not like it.
But yeah, young Elrond and Durin's like their whole dynamic is awesome. I mean, just fantastic show. Anyway, all right, so we got off topic. When you mentioned we started talking about Lord of the Rings, I had to ask.
Yeah, I watched it. I loved it. The biggest thing to say is that Swift didn't play that game. Chark is
St.
on
Brown
the
went out.
Chark's on the IR. St. Brown started the game, got a catch on his one target, and then was taken out for the new concussion protocols.
Yeah.
They okay. That I just remembered what irks me so bad about Jamal Williams' 1 yard fumble on the 1 yard line. Brock Wright caught the ball, turned, dove to the pylon, broke the plane, and was pushed out of bounds, and the referees called him down at the 1 yard line. Dan Campbell didn't even challenge it because I don't know if it's his own hubris of, we'll just shove it in from the 1 on first down, but he didn't challenge it. So they didn't get the score that would have brought them ahead in the game. Instead, they fumbled it at the 1 yard line, and from then on just completely fell apart. That was the part that killed me about that game. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
that's pretty. I didn't know that part about, especially about the not challenging thing. That's pretty frustrating. I'd be pissed.
The good news, the only good thing that came out of this game was that Aiden Hutchinson finally got some more sacks. So at least there was that.
Nice.
He had 3 sacks in week 2. Hadn't got any more since then. He got 1.5 in this game. So the rookie's already up to 4.5, which I'd say is in itself is a good rookie season. So we'll see how much more he can do. But
sweet. Well, who did they play this week? Well, we'll get to that. We'll move forward. All right. So next, we'll move on to the Commanders-Packers, the game I was watching during the Lions-Cowboys game. So very, very simply, I'm going to start off by saying I had no freaking idea in the world that we would win this game. I did not know that Aaron Rodgers has never won at FedEx Field, so he's never actually won in DC. I did not know that. That was an interesting, like, during the game fact. But I like Taylor Heineke as a, like, you watch the guy, you hear his story about being out of football and getting a chance to come back, and he's had some really emotional moments and some really, like, exciting moments over the last couple of years for us. But he is clearly not the answer at quarterback. He's a great backup. He's a great guy to come in a game like this where Wentz goes down. All right, we need a backup to play a few games. He started off the first half making terrible throws, terrible decisions, throws a pick six. That's kind of his MO. Is he tries to force the ball. He's People call him like he's like, oh, he's very Brett Favre-esque. Like he takes way too many risks, and I'm like, well, that's high praise, but I do get it. He likes to take a lot of risks. And then, and I don't know if you've seen this highlight, but the touchdown he threw to Terry McLaurin in, I think it was the third or fourth quarter, was the most beautiful throw I've seen a Commanders quarterback make. So probably since Heineke did it, last season. He does stuff like that where you see that pass and it's like, holy crap, that was the perfect arc, exactly where only Terry could get it, right in the end zone, dropped it in, a beautiful throw. But he does that once or twice a game, and the rest of the time I'm biting my nails every time he's throwing a pass because who knows what's going to happen to that ball. And then the third down to Terry, converted a third down the last drive to keep the clock moving. He stood in the pocket, took a hit, threw the ball up. Terry McLaurin came back, caught it. It was a great play. That one was more McLaurin for coming back, but I do give Heineke the credit for standing in the pocket, being willing to take that hit. And those are the things where I'm like, man, I love 90% about this guy. It's just that 10% that he's throwing pick sixes and interceptions. That's the frustrating part. And, going forward, Wentz is going to miss a couple more weeks. Heineke's going to start. I really hope that they just stick with Heineke until the bye in week 14 and then go to Howell after that, the rookie Sam Howell. That would be my ideal. Wentz should never start another game for us. If he plays 70% of the snaps, we have to give up our second round pick to the Colts. If he plays less, they get a third. Just bench him. Just keep him on the bench. It's clear that Carson Wentz is not going to be on this team next year. They're going to cut him and save the money. Don't give up a second round pick because you want to try and win with Wentz. Heineke just won a game. He's probably gives you the same odds that Wentz does at this point. But that's just whether or not Howell plays. My big thing is don't play Wentz. Don't give up a second round pick just to play Carson Wentz. There's no reason to. I don't know if Heineke's going to win every game for us. He'll still make stupid mistakes like he does. He'll still make amazing throws like he does. It's just every damn game is an emotional roller coaster with him. And then on the Packers side, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Packers. I mean, Wink said they were fine. I believed him. He's a Packers fan. They know everything. But he's wrong. They're not fine. They're 3-5.
Here's why he said they're fine. Here's why he said they're fine. Multiple years ago, the Packers were doing very bad at the beginning of the season, and Rodgers made a quote that always sticks around, and I freaking hate it. But that was the relax thing, right?
Yes.
That made sense.
I remember that.
Because you had people on your team that were good. There's no reason to relax now because you don't have the people on your team that were there when you said that the last time. You don't have anyone to throw to. The ones you do are getting hurt. The players you do have that are good, you're not using them, like A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, who are the best players on your offense right now, besides Rodgers, who has no one to throw to. What are you doing with your offense? It makes no sense the way that they're playing. Even if they figure it out, they're still going to put everybody in the box and go after Aaron Jones, and now you're forcing Rodgers to have to pass to some of those players. Will he? I guess we'll find out, but their offense is not.
And they used Aaron Jones a lot on Sunday out of the backfield. I think he caught both their touchdowns or whatever, and he caught like 9 passes, and that's great. But you have Alan Lazard, who's now hurt and gonna miss unknown amount of time. Romeo Dobbs has been up and down. Christian Watson, their second round pick, can't even get on the field. And it's why are you
Watkins hurt?
Yeah, why are you passing the ball that much? And then he wants to go on the radio and complain about who's starting for the team. Like he just wants to outright say like that they have people playing that shouldn't be playing as if he's now general manager. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I do want to go back to the relaxed comments. I remember that comment. They were 1-2 at the time. It's a lot easier to relax in week 3 when you're 1-2 than in week 8 when you're 3-5, about to go to Buffalo and get steamrolled by the Bills. I mean, they're gonna be 3-6 after this week, and I'm sorry, there's no relaxing at that point. You're not gonna start all of a sudden we're gonna start winning. Well, why haven't you won yet? Like to me, it's Yeah, there's something wrong in Green Bay, and they can. Oh, Aaron Rodgers will get us right. Well, it's taken him 7 weeks. He hasn't gotten there yet. So
Yep, exactly. Well, we'll see how they continue, but it's not
yeah.
like our division isn't open. I don't believe in the
Yeah.
Vikings, so we'll
This
see.
this this will be a really interesting game for the Vikings against the Cardinals. I'm really interested in how this one's going to play out, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So last week, real quick, Falcons, Bengals. I mean, the Bengals, Joe Burrow was on fire in the first half. I think he had 400 some odd yards and 3 touchdowns just in the first half. And then, of course, they slowed down in the second half because they were already out ahead. But that's, what I'm hoping to see from the Bengals from week one. It looks like they're finally back in that Super Bowl form. The big news for the Bengals, though, Jamar Chase. This, I think, was just yesterday out 4 to 6 weeks with a hip injury. I think it was a torn labrum or something. I don't know, but that's a heartbreaker because he's been on fire the last couple of weeks with Burrow. I mean, they were looking amazing, and now I mean he might not be back till end of November, beginning of December. So
Pick
that's
up
that's
Tyler Boyd in your
yeah,
leagues.
I looked. He wasn't available in any of my fantasy leagues. Not that it matters. I'm having the worst fantasy season of my life. And then for the Falcons, we talked about them being 3-4 and leading to the division. The thing that was curious to me though, looking at this game specifically, they were down big early. Burrow, they went out to an early lead. They still only threw 13 passes all game. They even when they were down, they were just running the ball. They
On
just
a
it's a
team
really
whose
weird.
halfback is Cordarrelle Patterson.
No, he's hurt.
So
Their
Algier
halfback
was
right.
rushing, and they
Yeah, I
did.
think Algier and Mariota ran a bunch too. So those might have been design pass plays that he ended up scrambling. So I'll give him credit and say 17 pass attempts. But even then, you're down big, and there's like no sense of urgency. It's very and I'm not even gonna get into what they're doing with Kyle Pitts. That's freaking heartbreaking. Um, but I put it in here. When do you think we're going to see Desmond Ritter? But then thinking about it, them leading their division, they have no reason to start Desmond Ritter. It's they're not going to make a quarterback change if they actually have a chance to win that division because everybody else is so bad.
When they're second in points scored in the
Yeah,
NFC.
it's
Yeah.
very surprising. I thought Desmond Ritter would have been one of the first quarterbacks that we would see start, and now all of a sudden it's like, man, he may not even get on the field at all this season.
Yep. Surprising, because I didn't think Mariota would last all season. We'll see though.
I didn't think Mariota would last a couple weeks. I thought Trubisky would last longer than Mariota. Boy, was I wrong.
I didn't.
Um, what?
I didn't.
I know. Colts Titans. Titans get the win. Not a very overly impressive win. The big thing. I think Derrick Henry is over 100 yards. Ryan Tannehill. He's not lights out. He's not doing anything spectacular, but he's being steady enough. They're riding Derrick Henry, and they've played the Colts twice. So yeah, they're 4-2, but they've also played the Colts twice. So I look at the Titans and I think, who else have they played? I'm curious. I'm not. They beat Washington, the Colts twice, and the Raiders. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not that impressed. Um, but they are still leading their division. One came up over the Colts actually, so the Titans, right? Mike Vrabel always seems to find a way to make the playoffs, but this isn't one of those teams that I look at and think, oh yeah, it's not like the Bengals last season were exciting. I mean, you could feel the excitement with Chase and Burrow. You look at the Titans and it's like Tannehill, yeah, Henry's back to running for over 100 yards a game, and that's great, but there's just nothing, um,
But then, but if he's
Treylon
not
Burks is
running, then you
hurt.
get to watch him throw passes to people like Austin Hooper and Cody Hollister
Yeah.
and Robert Woods.
Well,
Yay!
like, yeah, Treylon Burks is hurt, so it's there's the excitement of like, all right, where's the rookie that's taking over for AJ Brown? He's on IR, so
Yeah, exactly. There's
that's a shame.
nothing exciting going on that offense.
And then the Colts again. I mean, they are 3-1. They're in second place in that division somehow,
But
but
somehow making a quarterback change.
Yes. Yes.
To a guy who I've never even seen start a game. They're like,
I believe.
I'm sorry, Matt Ryan. Or do they have a pick situation with their trade? Didn't they sign him
he,
outright?
I don't know. No, I think they traded for him. Well, and the curious thing to me, so Ellinger, he was a rookie last year, I think.
Yeah.
The interesting thing to me is that Matt Ryan is dealing with an injury. So, okay, he's not going to play this game. We're going with Ellinger. But then the coach says, no,
he'll be playing
this
the rest
has
of
nothing.
the season.
Yeah, he's like, this has nothing to do with the injury. We want to see what we have in Ellinger. And it's like, well, that's cool, but you guys don't, you still have a chance to win this division. Why are you suddenly giving up? Like, it's very well, and maybe Ellinger's not maybe he's not bad. Maybe when was he drafted? Let's see, what round? 6th round pick last year.
From Texas, yes.
From Texas. Played in the Big 12 championship game in 2018. Let's see his career stats. Not bad, actually. He is a bit of a running quarterback. Yeah, 2018, man, he ran for 16 touchdowns. Damn. So I'm curious to see. I don't know, man. The timing of it, like if they were 1-5 or 1-6, then it'd be like, all right, that totally makes sense. Or if they would just said Matt Ryan's too hurt to play, so we're gonna go with Ellinger. Okay, that makes sense. But for them to say we're specifically making this just because we want to make the change based off production and we want to see what we have in Ellinger, it's like, well, that's really weird. I don't know. Maybe they know something about the Commanders' defense that nobody else does, and they're like, oh, Sam Ellinger's going to run for 200 yards that game, or that he's going to pick us apart. I have no idea, but I'm very weird timing of that switch. The other thing from this game against the Titans that I thought was ridiculous was this is the team that has Jonathan Taylor at quarterback, and they threw the ball 44 times.
At running back, you mean?
Yes, running back. Sorry. But yeah, they threw the ball 44 times. I know it worked against the Jaguars 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but it's Jonathan Taylor. Like that was mind-boggling.
He's still hurt. Gonna give him that.
Well, if he's still hurt, then he shouldn't be in. Like, if he's too hurt to carry the ball, then he shouldn't be playing. Like, I don't know. I'm just that was weird for me when I saw that stat.
No.
What's next? Bucks Panthers. So I mean, we saw the Bucks last night, and I mean, but going back to Sunday, losing against the Panthers, I don't know what the heck's going on in Tampa Bay.
This last night, that was one thing. That one I can understand.
Yes.
This game, the Panthers game, confused. Traded away Robbie Anderson, traded away Christian McCaffrey, somehow just get absolutely spanked by a team that they have no business losing. Nobody should have any business losing to the Panthers after CMC's left. Like, there's no way.
That it feels like, Brady doesn't look great, but the Bucks defense is also giving up 21 points to PJ Walker and the Panthers. And the run game for the Bucks, I remember week 1, Leonard Fournette ran for 120 something yards, and it's like, oh man, maybe he's going to have a great year and they're going to run the ball a lot to take pressure off Brady. They haven't run the ball at all this season. They've been terrible.
And why was it PJ Walker? Sam Darnold's on the IR? What happened to him?
Sam Darnold
he didn't
still
even
hurt.
play.
No, it was his ankle or something. Yeah, they're basically Mayfield was hurt, so they went to Walker. Mayfield's healthy now, but they just said, screw it, we'll just stick with Walker. Darnold's hurt. Their rookie Matt Corral's out for the year. So it's like, yeah, if anybody's tanking, it's the Panthers, and yet they beat the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that.
I don't know.
If you're a Panthers fan watching CMC get traded for a bunch of picks, and then you watch your team win this game, you're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This win means nothing for us. They're not going to win more. They're not going to win a bunch of games with the playoffs.
I mean, they are only a game out of first in that division, so who knows? After this week, they could be in first place in that division.
Yeah, well, do you really want to take that team to the playoffs and then lose and then be like, oh, darn, we tried, and now we have a shitty pick, and then if you're a Panthers fan, you want to lose. I know.
Yeah.
As a Lions fan, I never root for my team to lose, so I can understand not rooting for your team to lose. But when they do lose, you're not upset about it because you're like, okay, well, it's one step closer to a better pick.
That's the most frustrating thing for me. Every time the Commanders will finish one game out of the playoffs or something, I just think like, yeah, I mean that's great, but I want a higher draft pick or I want to be in the playoffs. I don't want to be picking 12 or 13. Like I hate that. That's why I look at the Commanders this year and think, well, we're not making the playoffs, we're not winning the Super Bowl, so just lose out and get us a top 5 pick and a good quarterback.
Anytime I see a top 15 or 10 to 15 pick, I think they're going to pick a tight end. They're going to pick a tight end. They always do it. They always pick a freaking tight end. It's Hawkinson. It's Stonehands. God, what was that guy's
good
name?
old Stonehands.
Brandon Pettigrew.
Yes.
It's always a tight end for the Lions in 10 to 15.
Well, there is a first-round tight end, so you never know.
Dan Campbell, a tight end, is frothing at the mouth.
Hawkinson, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. I drafted him as my tight end in the Dynasty, and that dude doesn't do nothing.
Yep.
For Carolina, obviously they get the win. That's great. But the PJ Walker, DJ Moore duo, they actually did look good. So, good for them.
Good, because I have DJ Moore. Give me points finally.
Giants, Jaguars. So we talked about Saquon Barkley and how great he's looked. We talked about the Giants and how exciting it is for them to be playing well. One thing that I loved about this game, Daniel Jones ran for 107 yards. So the Giants had 2 100-yard rushers for the first time since like 2007. 2 in one game. I thought that was freaking hilarious. That one was the quarterback.
I told Wink this last week about Daniel Jones because the week before this he ran a lot too. Every time that dude runs, I think of that run he had right down the middle of the field where he tripped on his own feet with no one around him and went down. So anytime that dude starts to motor, I remember you
bringing that up, yeah. And that was like a 70-something yard run too.
Yeah.
In prime time. In prime time, the dude's running untouched down the field, and he gets to like the 10-yard line and just falls on his face.
I
Hilarious.
I can picture it. It's so great.
So big news for the Giants this week. They traded Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs for I believe a 3rd and a 6th rounder, which cracks me up. They drafted Kadarius Toney in the 1st round last year, and everyone said, what? Mm-hmm. And now here we are a little over a year later, and they cut and ran. And that's, they drafted Wendell Robinson.
When they could get something. It might not be a first, but they got something.
And a 3rd isn't terrible. Well, it's the Chiefs' 3rd, so it's basically a 4th.
Yeah.
But it's just anytime this happens where you draft somebody in the 1st round and it becomes immediately apparent that it was a wasted draft pick. We've been there with our teams. So
Josh Rosen.
Josh Dotson. Not Jahan Dotson. Josh Dotson. God, I get them confused, but the 2016 or 2015 receiver we drafted.
Charles
sucked.
Rogers.
Oh my God.
Number 3 pick. Let's go. I think he works at a car
Joey Harrington.
He's a car salesman now.
Joey Harrington.
Yeah, but that one pisses me off because that took them 6 freaking seasons to figure out.
Robert Kindiche for the Cardinals. That was a great one.
You could go across every 1st-round pick for the Cardinals and name them off. Trey McBride. He was a 2nd rounder.
He was a 2nd rounder. Yeah. Well, we really needed a tight end.
Yeah.
All right. And then Jacksonville, and it's funny, I heard you mentioned a wink, the swag wires. That seems like last season. They've fallen so far in
after
the
first 2 games looking so good. They look like complete garbage.
They are
week 2.
Well, when they beat the Chargers in week 3, 38-10. I looked at the score. At that point they were 2-1, and it was like, wow, the Jaguars are for real. Then they played the Eagles and played well against the Eagles, and it's like, all right, looking good. And since then they've lost to the Texans, the Colts, and then the Giants. And they just looked bad. I mean, not the offense per se. The offense actually I thought isn't too bad, but the defense is just ridiculous. And it's breaking my heart because I was really excited for the Jaguars to finally be good. And I like Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and James Robinson. So it's very frustrating to look at them now and think like, what the hell happened?
And then they have so many good players.
They do.
To be so bad. They have a good
I
defense.
know.
They have a good offense as far as players go. It's one of those things where you're like, they look good on paper.
And they've looked good in games in the season, but just yeah, I don't know, man. But it's sad. I hopefully they turn things around because and it's funny. I like James Robinson. Well, he's a Jet now, but I still like Kirk and Ingram. Lawrence isn't so bad. He reminds me of Sunshine from Remember the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but just very very sad to see how far they've fallen. But um, clearly the Swagwire nickname is dead until further notice.
Yeah, we're not. We'll have to bring it back if they can
Yeah.
figure out how to be swaggy.
Browns Ravens. This game, the Ravens ran a bunch. I was really cool. I thought to see Gus Edwards, his first game since 2020. I think it was like November 2020 when he got hurt originally.
Mm-hmm.
So really cool to see him score two
Just in
touchdowns. I
time,
think.
Dobbins back hurt again.
I know. Um, but yeah, not much to say about the Ravens in this game. They ran a whole lot, which was good to see because this is a team that's built to run. So it's nice to see them sticking with what they're built to do rather than trying to be something they're not.
Mm.
And then for Cleveland, they're 2-5. They haven't been as bad as I expected. Jacoby Brissett actually has been better than I thought. But they're 2-5, and that's basically where I thought they'd be. They get Deshaun Watson back in a couple weeks, and we'll see what goes from there. But
I only want him back so that Amari Cooper scores more points. That's it.
yeah, I want him back because I held on to him in the Dynasty League since we drafted last year, and I'm just keeping him on my IR, hoping somebody needs a quarterback in the offseason. Unless I think I got accused of another issue. I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something. So who knows what's going to happen. Jets Broncos. Jets. We talked about it. Brees Hall's injury sucks. That dude. I was so mad at myself for not taking him in the Dynasty League because him and Kenneth Walker look like legitimately the next two big running, and Dameon Pierce actually. Like some great rookie running backs having great seasons. Brees Hall, I thought, was on his way to win Rookie of the Year. Sucks for him. The Jets go out and get James Robinson. I thought that's a great move. I love James Robinson. I don't
Is
think
he
he's
on a 1-year contract?
James Robinson. I have no idea.
Because all I can think to myself is this. It sucks either way for him. It sucks worse than being on the Jaguars, actually being traded to the Jets. Even though the Jets are good and he's on a better team right now, he has no prospect of being the starter on the Jets. He's only there because Brees Hall's hurt. And so if he's there longer than this year, he's not a starter anymore.
Let's take a look.
He's good. So I don't even know what his deal is.
I'm trying to look it up, but I don't think he is under contract next season.
The overthecap.com. Let's see what they say.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, actually. He's not on the contract for 2023. He's not on the list.
So he's a free agent. That'll be good for him. This is actually a really good situation for him then. If he had more than this year on it, I would think that it was kind of a bad deal on his end. Great deal for the Jets, bad deal for him. But
right, because
he
just
plays
be stuck
well.
Behind Brees Hall next year, but he'll definitely have a chance to go somewhere that needs a running back. Which you look at a team, Miami, a bunch of different running backs, the Falcons. Like there are teams that definitely could use a guy like James Robinson. So excited for him to go to a team that has a chance in the playoffs. So that'll be awesome. And then as far as the Broncos, we talked about it earlier. They're a joke, and it's a joke that's not even funny. It's annoying because I like Russell Wilson. I love Javonte Williams. He's out anyways. I like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. They've Bradley Chubb. Like they've got a bunch of players on that team that you'd think, like you said, on paper, this looks like a great team, but they are not doing anything, and a lot of that just stems from the coaching to me. They played Brett Rypien in this game. He didn't look terrible. he didn't look good, but he didn't look terrible. For a guy that I think was drafted in the 7th round, that's what you expect. But um, I don't think they lost the game because of him. I think they lost the game because their coach is an idiot. I read something earlier this week, I think, that said if the Broncos lose on Sunday, Nathaniel Hackett may be fired. And then the Broncos came out and said, no, 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 we have faith in Hackett, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you should absolutely fire him. That guy should be a one and done. Just like Steve Wilkes was for the Cardinals, Hackett should be a one and done.
Yeah, he's no good. It's real bad.
No, he's not. He's real bad. Texans Raiders, Josh Jacobs. This game he was a beast, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I think the last 3 weeks he's actually been playing amazing. Devontae Adams got a little bit more involved. I don't remember his stat lines. He didn't catch a touchdown. I mean, he wasn't spectacular, but at least he's catching passes. But the Raiders win. The Texans, Dameon Pierce looks good, and Davis Mills hasn't. He's like he's like Heineke to me. He does some good things, but he's just not a guy. You can't start him consistently. You're not gonna win a championship with Davis Mills at quarterback, and that's the point for every team every year is to win the Super Bowl. So you can't have Davis Mills at quarterback.
So long. Start
What?
Kyle Allen. I said that so long in preseason. I'm like, Davis Mills? Really? That's your guy?
Well, but Kyle Allen isn't the answer either.
Who
So
cares?
I mean,
what is it going to do for you? You're 1-4-1. You're doing nothing.
well, but why make the move from Mills to Allen? Like Mills is
Because you're
losing
not
them enough
going
games.
from a guy making $30 million to a guy making $100,000. You're going from a crappy backup to maybe another crappy backup, but you don't know until you play him. The Lions, for example,
You know Kyle Allen is a crappy backup.
You know that because you're a Commanders fan and he played for the Panthers a little. But the fact of the matter is, there's no real difference between those two quarterbacks. Changing and getting a win might actually do something for you.
But why do you want to win if you're trying to get the high pick? That's my point.
Are they trying to get the high pick?
They should be. They need a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, you want to make a change just to make a change, but in this instance, it's actually working better for them just to stick and keep losing with Davis Mills and then draft a quarterback.
What's their division look like?
That's the Titans, Colts, Jags. They're at the bottom, 1-4-1. So I mean, it's not like the Falcons where they actually have a chance. The Texans absolutely are tanking or should be. So they shouldn't try to get a win or see what they have at Kyle Allen. We all know what Kyle Allen is. They just stick with Davis Mills, keep losing, they're guaranteed a top 2 pick. It'll be between them and the Lions. So they'll get their quarterback.
Yep. Makes sense.
But Seahawks Chargers, again the Seahawks. This was the game I almost went to, and I'm glad I didn't because I would have wanted the Chargers to win, and they didn't look that great, and it's very frustrating to see a team that's so talented on paper as the Chargers, and you look at the Seahawks and think, oh, they've got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and I guess Kenneth Walker now, but that's about it. I don't even know who's on their defense anymore. It used to be the Legion of Boom, and now it's the Legion of Whom. Get it? Because I don't know who they are.
Got it.
Except
Andre Diggs and Jamal or Adams.
That's right. They do have Diggs. Diggs was the ex-Lion, right?
Yeah, the missile.
Yeah.
The missile man. Andre Diggs.
But yeah, the Seahawks just continue to surprise me. Kenneth Walker, though, especially with Breece Hall down, that dude looks like he's going to win Rookie of the Year. 176 yards, 2 touchdowns this game. I know he went off the week before too. I picked him up in every fantasy league I could just to stick him on my terrible teams going nowhere so no one else can have him. Because that guy looks legit and he's just going to fester on my 1-6 teams. For the Chargers, we mentioned this when we talked about the division. A lot of people thought the Chargers were going to compete for the Super Bowl. I thought at the very least they'd compete for the division with the Chiefs. Now they're just they're still 4-3, I think. So, chance of the playoffs, but not really any reason to get excited
right now. So they're in
okay,
a playoff now.
Yeah,
that could change in 2 weeks. They're only 4-3, and there are a lot of teams around them. So
Oh, see, and they're tied with the Bengals are 4-3 as well. See, that's interesting
Dolphins, Bengals,
because
Chargers, all in the same spot right there.
well, when the Jets and Dolphins have moved into the playoff spot, it teams like the Chargers, Bengals that you would expect get moved out. But yeah, looking at the AFC, there's actually they do have like 8 teams that can all realistically make the playoffs. That's man, that's gonna be a tight race. But the thing for the Chargers, they have Austin Eckler. Yeah, he's a pass catcher back, but they are 26th in rush yards per game. When you have a back as talented as Austin Eckler, should be better than that. That's really disappointing.
Dude, that guy's going nuts week after week, and they're still losing. Like,
Yeah, he's catching a bunch of passes.
I have him in fantasy, and he was terrible the first 3 weeks, and then he's just going off every week after that. And it's almost as if when he started going off, they started doing worse. They were doing, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the winning formula is for them because they're doing mediocre when he's doing really good, and they were doing mediocre when he was doing really bad. I don't know what the key there is, but it's definitely involves Mike Williams not being hurt and Keenan Allen not being hurt. So,
Well, and looking at their season, I mean, they beat the Raiders week 1, lost by 3 to the Chiefs week 2, got blown out by the Jaguars week 3. And then they only beat the Texans by 10. That's a red flag. Beat the Browns by 2. Only beat the Broncos by 3. That's another red flag. And then lost to the Seahawks. So they are not at all that like dominant. There's just not that feeling of, oh, they're gonna roll this team that they should have when they have Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, all that talent on defense. It is, it's just very. But just look at it. So Austin Eckler, 380 rushing yards, 357 receiving yards. He almost has as many receiving yards as rushing yards. That's backwards, man. They got to get him more involved in the run game. They just got to run the ball more. 53 catches. Yeah, he's the leading receiver on that team by 16. That's nuts. Yeah. Very disappointed in the Chargers. Chiefs 49ers. The game started out close, and then the Chiefs went bananas and scored 30 points in the second half.
So, as per normal on a Sunday afternoon, during the afternoon games, I went and laid in bed, and if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. Well, that game was boring as hell, and I fell asleep. When I woke up, getting ready to go to work, the 49ers were getting blown out. And at the beginning of the game, it was close. CMC was looking crazy good for a guy who had only been there a few days. Like, the game was close, and then suddenly the Chiefs, I wake up and the Chiefs are blowing them out. So, I don't know what happened to the 49ers in that game, but
it was 14-13 at the half, I think. So, yeah, it was very close. And then the Chiefs in the second half, yeah. Juju Smith-Schuster had 7 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown in the game. Awesome. I love Juju, so good to see that. Mm-hmm. But the big thing, so Jimmy Garoppolo sacked 5 times, 1 interception, 1 lost fumble. The defense just hassled him all game. And then, yeah, CMC, 8 for 38 yards, rushing, 2 catches for 24 yards. So not hugely involved in his first game. He'd only been there for like 2 days. But still got involved. Interesting to see how much they use him this week. But, yeah, good for the Chiefs. The 49ers, still, they're, what are they? 3-4, 1 game behind the Seahawks in that division. So, I mean, that division's still all wide open. Steelers, Dolphins, going into this game, I think I picked the Steelers in my confidence pool. I had them as like my least confident pick, though, because I was worried about Tua. I watching what happened to him, and then everybody talking about, oh, that takes weeks to recover from. So I was a little worried. I wanted to see how he was going to be when he came back. It's fine. The dude looked great. 21 for 35, 261 yards. Only 1 touchdown, but he was finding open receivers a lot, getting the ball to Waddle and Hill. And the Dolphins, I mean, they looked great. But the defense, they really stood up. Picked off Kenny Pickett 3 times. Made him look like a rookie as he is. So the Dolphins, though, I think, like I said, personally was a little nervous about how Tua was going to look after those two concussions so close together. But no, he played great.
It makes me mad that somehow the Lions managed to pull the Dolphins after Tua came back. Because the
Yeah, the
Lions
luck
are
of the
playing the
draw.
Dolphins this week, and there is just welcome to 1-6. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Lions defense does give up a lot of points, and the Dolphins do score a lot of points. They didn't on Sunday night, but they have in the past. So this could be a very bad week for the Lions defense, trying to cover Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, here's the craziest part, okay? The Lions' offense looked absolutely horrid last week, and somehow the defense didn't look like the worst defense in the NFL. So if the Lions defense can play the way they played last week, they might make a game out of it until Goff throws it away. So we'll see what happens.
The Lions defense against the Cowboys played very well.
That's what I'm saying. We got Josh
Yeah.
Pascal, our second round pick that had been hurt all season. He came back, and then the pass rush between Pascal and Aiden Hutchinson disrupted them enough that somehow the secondary, who are terrible, were able to play their receivers good enough. So we'll see. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. But the Dolphins look great with Tua back. They look like they're back to the team that they were before he got hurt. And that should be scary for everyone in their division.
Yeah, absolutely. And they won a couple games with Teddy, and whoever that third quarterback was that played a little bit for them. So they're still in good shape. They're 4-3. They're third in their division because they play with the Bills and the Jets, but they are still in the playoff hunt right now. So who knows? You could get three teams out of the AFC East with the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins making the playoffs. But yeah. And then last note for the Steelers, and I make this note because I drafted him in the first round in 2 leagues. Where the hell is Najee Harris? The Steelers, it's Steeler football. They've got a running back like that. They're 27th in rushing yards per game. You're starting a rookie quarterback. You should be leaning on your running back. And I just don't get it. I don't know what in the world the Steelers are doing.
Well, it's funny because
They're
he had
2-5.
17 carries, which is not a bad number, with only 65 yards. So
Yeah, the 65 yards thing is the heartbreaker.
yeah, he had his chances, and 3.8 yards and carry is not bad. It's just not great. I don't know.
It's not. It's just frustrating for me personally when I took him with such high hopes.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. So
Curious to see though. All right, last one. So Monday Night Football, Bears Patriots. Another surprise.
this is the one I was looking forward to talking about because what the actual fuck?
So we'll start off with the Bears because I really want to talk about the Patriots quarterback situation, but we'll do the Bears first.
Yes.
Yeah. So just my only notes on the Bears. Justin Fields does seem to be getting better, and they talked about it during the game. That was his 17th career start. So he is just wrapping up his rookie season. And just looking at his stats, 13 of 21, 179 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 14 for 82 and 1 touchdown rushing, which I'm glad to see they're using his rushing ability. Do I think he's going to break out this, the end of this year? Is he going to turn into Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or anything like that, or even Josh Allen? No. But he does seem to be getting better. The problem is that team has no talent on the offense. They have no one on the offensive line. He's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL this season. They have no one to catch the ball. Their defense is playing a lot better than anybody thought it was going to, especially in this game. But yeah, I do. And me and my dad talked about this. The Bears, he's not like you. He'll take moral victories. He's a Cubs fan. He waited forever for a championship. So he's a patient man when it comes to sports. He's just excited that the team seems to be headed in the right direction. And I agree. They do seem to be getting better. They have, what is it, $115 million in cap space next year. So, I mean, they can just go nuts in free agency.
There's. Let me just interject here. There's a difference between the Bears and the Lions. The Bears don't have anyone good on their team. So you can take moral victories because when they win, it's a surprise. The Lions losing with good players should be surprising.
You don't think Roquan Smith is good?
What, 2 players on the team are good? And you want to call them... No. I'm sorry. Yes, Roquan Smith is good. Yes, Darnell Mooney could probably be good. Who else?
I'm just... I know where you're coming from with the Lions, but
don't try to pretend like the Lions and the people on the Lions roster are not equal to the Bears roster. The Lions should be winning. The Bears should be losing. So if the Bears win, yeah, it's a moral victory. If the Bears are close, it's a moral victory. The Lions being the worst team in the league, there's nothing to that. You can't be happy with that they were close at this point. Because there's no reason to. Because at some point, this is what always happens. When you get that close, but you still keep losing, then you trade all your good players because you start rebuilding again. And then you do the same thing for 5 more fucking years. I do not want to do that. Get rid of Goff. We have good players. Get a quarterback that knows what the fuck he's doing. And be good. Be better. You are better than 1-5. You are better than the worst team in the NFL. Yes, I'm not taking moral victories. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying. The Bears can take them. Because they're bad.
All I said was that my dad is okay with moral victories. I never said it was bad
that sounded
for
like
you.
it was bad for me. Okay,
No,
and I'm not taking that.
I never said that you should be taking moral victories.
It was the way you said it.
I apologize for my tone, sir.
Yes. Watch your mouth.
But no, that's really the only notes I had for the Bears. It was a surprise that they not just won that game, but they dominated the game. But that's because the Patriots, they shot themselves in the foot. And I don't understand the logic at all. I understand that Mac Jones missed a couple games and Bailey Zappi looked good. Or he looked, serviceable. Okay, sure.
To bench him in the first half? What?
Well, and not just that. Mac Jones, 6 pass attempts, 3 of 6. He throws an interception, and that's the leash. Your leash is 1 interception.
It's like, nope, you're done.
Yeah,
get on out.
Okay. So why start him? If at that point you're like, we want to make the switch, we just need a reason. Just switch. Just say, you know what, we're gonna ride the hot hand with Bailey Zappi. But whatever. They make the switch. Great. Zappi comes in, and I'll admit, 2 straight touchdown drives, some great throws to wide open receivers because the Bears defense just forgot what they were doing for a second, and everybody was going nuts. It was crazy. Zappi coming in light in Monday Night Football at home, scoring 2 touchdowns like that so fast. It's like, oh man, maybe they're right. Maybe they should make the switch. Nope. Comes out in the second half, 2 interceptions, a fumble, looks terrible. They lose the game. Now the coach says Mac Jones is a starter. What the hell is wrong with the Patriots?
Of course he's the starter. He should have played the whole game, and then if he played bad the whole game, then maybe you have a case. But, there was such a weird thing. I didn't watch the game. I was at work, and I didn't have time to watch it. But, I was watching I was watching Twitter, and I was watching the box score, right? So I'd check it every now and then to see where it was going. And I'm like, what the Zappi's in? Did Mac Jones get hurt again? And then I'll go to Twitter, I'm looking, they're like, oh, Belichick benched Mac Jones. And I'm like, did the guy fumble the ball 6 times? What happened? What could he possibly have done to be benched? And they're like, oh, he threw a bad interception.
Yeah. 1 interception.
As if Mac Jones then it begs the question, that every game. What?
When Bailey Zappi throws his interception, why doesn't he get benched?
Yeah, it's like you might as well just start going back and forth.
You throw 1 interception,
turnover,
you get benched.
Back to the other guy. At least then that would be entertaining.
That would be pretty entertaining. The thing that blows me away with this is that it's Bill Belichick, because if Bill Belichick had said, all right, Zappy is playing for Jones because he's hurt, and yeah, he looks good, he played well, we're not making a change, just based off that. Mac Jones, we draft him in the first round. We believe in him. We're sticking with him. That, to me, is the Belichick line of thinking. Not, oh, you played well for two. We're going to supplement our first-round quarterback with this sixth-rounder just because it's exciting, or we're trying to pump up the fan base or whatever. That's not a Belichick thing. But that's what he does. And I understand the fans were so excited because, of course, for New England, it's like, what? A sixth-round quarterback? He's the next Tom Brady. He's going to be amazing. And when he came in and threw those 2 touchdowns, I for a minute, I'm like, oh, don't tell me that this guy actually is going to be great. But then for him to kind of settle back down in the second half and the Bears defense to really, I mean, they just shut him down. It was those first 2 drives, it felt like, oh, here we go again. But then the Bears just in the second half wrecked him. But yeah, it was a weird situation, and they said Jones is going to start Sunday, and that's fantastic. But hey, he throws another interception or fumbles, he might get pulled again. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, that was week 7.
That was week 7.
That was week 7.
So now we're going to go into some Thursday night football, talk a little bit about the Bucks they weren't at the Ravens. There was the Ravens at the Bucks, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Ravens at the Bucks. I just kept waiting. This game wound up being over 46.5 points, which was the line for betting. But holy crap, did it take them the entire game to get there. I thought this game was going to be a high-scoring game, and it was not. I mean, I guess it was in the end, but it was so slow. The entire game was slow. And the entire time, it looked like the Bucks were going to win in the slowness, and then the Ravens were just like, okay, we're done playing with you, and just took the game over.
Yeah, it was 10-3 Bucks at the half, and that first half had been boring and slow. And yeah, I thought, oh, okay, the Bucks are gonna get a win. Tom Brady doesn't lose 3 in a row. But then in the second half, the Ravens came out and just lit them up. They imagine this, started running the ball. I think they had a drive in the second half or the first half where they threw 9 straight times or something, and then they started running and. But yeah, the Buccaneers, watching that game, it's nothing. I can't sit there and tell you exactly what's wrong with the team. It just seems to be everything. The defense isn't that great. The running game isn't that great. Tom Brady, isn't his usual transcendent self. It's just everything is just wrong. It looks like a team that is just exhausted. They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They were in the NFC Championship game, I think, last year. It just honestly, it reminds me of the Suns in the playoffs last year. They just look tired. Everybody's just like, we don't want to play football right now. We need some time off. So
that off season was not long enough. Listen.
Yeah, we need longer. But yeah, just a crazy season the Bucks are having. And again, it's a shame Tom Brady's going to go out like this. No one's going to remember him like this. We'll all remember him as the GOAT. It's just a shame to watch.
It's hard for me not to remember things like this. I remember Favre on the Vikings. I will remember the last year of Tom Brady. I remember the last season of Emmitt Smith on the Cardinals. I remember the last season of Edgerrin James on the Cardinals.
You're not going to remember Brady as this season, is what I said.
Okay.
You're not going to think of, in 5 years, you're not going to be like, Tom Brady, that shitty quarterback from 2022? You'll remember
he
the season.
He could have moved to tight end for a year, and it wouldn't have affected his legacy. But
that's what I mean.
I will remember that he stayed a year too long.
Oh, yeah, of course. Joe Montana on the Chiefs. You'll remember it happened, it's not going to tarnish his legacy.
But here's the thing, right? And then I got to wonder this. Peyton Manning, did he play too long? He didn't win his last year. But I don't think of his last year. Did he win on his last year? I thought he played one more year.
Now, he played terribly that last year. They won the Super Bowl over the Panthers because of the defense. That was not because of Peyton Manning. So that's a good question, though. Did he stayed too long because he didn't look very good, but they still got the ring? So that's like a philosophical question.
See, that's my thing is like, I feel like Brady had an MVP stat type of season last year, and he didn't win. But that was the perfect spot to go out. He was on top. He led the league.
I think he should have gone out after they won the Super Bowl in 2020. I mean, that would have been he played well in 2021, but he could have gone out literally as Super Bowl champion and walked away. And yeah, it's a shame that this is going to be his final year, but his legacy is like airtight.
No, there's no doubt about it. You can't go as long as he's played in the NFL to never be 2 games under 500. That's just still insane to me. And I know I've brought it up like 10 times in this podcast, but that's
mind blown.
As a Lions fan who you're never 2 games above 500, for him to never have been there, that's absolutely insane. So
Jared Goff has never been a game under 500. He is an all-pro. Sarcasm. So last night,
remarks to make that I don't know which one to choose.
I'm gonna buy you a Goff jersey for Christmas.
I need fireworks.
I would actually buy you a Goff jersey just to watch you make a TikTok of burning it.
Burning it? Oh,
yes.
God, yes.
So our bets from last night, once again, frustratingly close to winning this one.
This is the closest, the literal closest I've been.
Yeah, I was 27 yards off, and it was because Mark Andrews got hurt. I bet the over 60 yards for him. He get 33 yards in 2 catches on like their first drive. Then he gets hurt, misses the rest of the game. But I bet the under 49.5. I just got it by half a point because they hit 49. I bet the Ravens money line, and then I bet Tom Brady over 300 yards. Very frustrating that I was so damn close. If it wasn't for the injury, I would have gotten it.
One day we will win the foreplay. One day the Thursday night foreplay will hit for one of us.
Someday.
How close were you? How many yards?
27. 27 yards.
Let me do you one better. I was 16 yards. 16 yards. I bet the over of 46.5, which I got. Somehow there was a 3-point zone where you could win and I could win. And they made it into the zone.
Just barely. I had half a point to spare.
Yeah. I bet Tom Brady 225 plus passing yards. He hit that, obviously, because he hit your 300 plus yards. I bet Julio Jones to have under 28.5 yards because that guy is just completely washed. And then I also bet Lamar Jackson to have 60 plus rushing yards because he averages 60 yards rushing a game. He had 44, so I missed my bet by 16 yards. 16 yards.
I know.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
So
We're almost every
close.
week it seems like we're 3 for 3. If this was
one of these weeks,
we'd be winning like crazy.
One of these weeks we're gonna hit it. I was bummed too because like I bought like the Mark Andrews. I did the alt lines for Mark Andrews yardage, Tom Brady's yardage, and the over under. To boost my odds a little bit. Like for a $5 bet, I could have won 120. So I mean, I was like, damn, I was so close. Like that would have been a nice little win. But one of these days, we'll get it. All right, so yeah, that was Thursday Night Football. Now we will dive into our Week 8 preview and our picks.
All right, I got you. Week 8 preview and the picks. Let's go. Week 7 results. You win 8-5. I win 8-5. Wink went 6-7. Wink, surprising me, picked the Lions to win. So
I saw that.
That's pretty much partly why he lost that one. He also picked the Broncos. That did not go well for him. So those were the 2 games he lost compared to us.
The Lions one, I remember when I was watching the stream, when he picked the Lions, I honestly, I thought it was really nice of him, but it's like, you're just throwing away a pick. I mean, it's like it's.
I told them.
I know it's your team. Like it's like I love the Commanders, but when I looked at the Commanders-Packers game, I'm like, there's no way in hell the Commanders are going to win this game. We did, but if I went back 100 times out of 100, I still would have picked the Packers.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said with the Lions, I am not picking them until they win another game. I will pick against them every single game. Actually, I am literally going to start betting like $10 a game on the loss, just so when they lose, I don't feel bad because I won some money.
Dude, I did that. What year? 2019, the season that we ended up drafting second and getting Chase Young. I bet every week. I bet the Commanders to lose. Well, we were the Redskins back then. I bet them to lose, and they went 2-14, and I won 14 weeks. Like it works sometimes.
Give me that money.
I will say this though: when the Lions and Bears play, I think you'll pick the Lions. Even if they haven't won a game up until then, you'll pick the Lions over the Bears.
Well, if only so I don't have to hear your dad talk about it. You picked the Bears to beat the Lions after you were mad about moral victories.
Sounds just like him.
Yeah, right? Play that back for him.
Yeah.
I want to hear his response.
He'll love it. Yeah.
That brings the season score, and even though we are tied, I just want to point this out. We have a pretty good record on picks this year. We are both 58, 42, and 1.
Curious.
So what is that? 16 more wins than we've picked losses? I'd say that's a pretty
it's literally 58% because that adds up to 101. So 58% winning percentage on our picks. That's pretty good. I mean, I'll take that.
All day. And I'm not behind you.
I know.
Still.
When I left, you were down by like 3 games, and now all of a sudden you're tied.
You were gone 2 weeks. I came back.
I know. I wasn't putting my full energy in making picks, so this week I'll get a lead again.
Now that you're here and you can hear my picks live, you can pick against the ones that I pick.
Well, I always go first, though.
That's true. And then I pick the one that loses, and then I get behind again. So, all right, let's start it off. We're starting in Jacksonville. Okay. You said you weren't going to pick the Swagwires.
I know.
But it's the Broncos at the Swagwires. The Swagwires are the favorites.
So... yeah, I know. This is the London game, and if I remember correctly today, I saw that Russell Wilson is playing. I have to stick to what I said. I'm going to take the Broncos.
All right.
I know the Jags are favored. I think the Jags should win this game. But this is what sucks when it's two teams that you look at it, and at the beginning of this year, I would have said, "Oh, this would be a great game. They're both very talented." Yeah. But now here we are, and I'm looking at it like, "Oh, they're both underperforming. I'm not waking up for this game." But yeah.
Oh, this is the London game, isn't it?
This is the London game. Yeah.
There's no way in the world I would wake up. Well,
do you work
honestly,
Saturday? You might be awake.
So
Yeah.
I might just get home and watch this till I fall asleep. We'll see. Here's what happens with the Broncos. And this isn't a primetime game, but it is in London, so I'm going to pretend it's a primetime game. Broncos, for whatever reason, keep playing in primetime, and every time they're in primetime, they play close to who's playing them, and then they lose. So I'm still going to pick the Jaguars, but I'm going to pick the Jaguars to win by 3. I'm going to call the point spread. I'm going to say Jaguars by 3.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing that. All right.
I'm only going to
So wait a second. Hold up a second. So does your pick not count if they win by 2?
No. No, I'm just giving. I'm going for extra points here.
We're not giving extra points. Get out of here.
This is for swag points.
I'll tell you what. Let's do that. 1 game a week. You can call the point spread for a bonus point.
So if Jaguars win by more than 3, or if they win by 3?
3 or more. We'll play it like Vegas. It has to be 3 or more.
All right. I got it. We'll go 3+.
All right. So that 1 game a week. We'll do that. I like that. We'll give a little bonus point each week.
All right.
But I'm going to stick with the Broncos. And that's only because I want the Jaguars to win, which means they'll probably lose.
All right, next up you've got the Panthers at the Falcons, with the Falcons the favorites.
This is another one of those games where it's like at the beginning of the season I wouldn't have cared, but now all of a sudden both these teams are surprisingly competitive in their division, and I'm like, man, this might actually be an interesting game. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. I know the Panthers are kind of riding that momentum of, hey, we fired our coach and we're all playing for our lives type thing. But I think the Falcons have more to play for at this point. And I just, honestly, I'd take Mariota over PJ Walker. It's not a great choice between the two of them, but I'm gonna go with the Falcons.
All right, so Richie takes the Falcons. I am 100% taking the Falcons because I just do not. I believe the Panthers had a fluke against the Bucks last week. There is no reason the Panthers should be beating anyone. That's just my opinion, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I do like DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall. That's about it.
yeah.
I'm not that big of a believer in PJ Walker. I liked Mayfield, but after this season, that dude he's done.
Gone. He'll be a backup eventually. You've got the Bears at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 9.5 favorites.
Cowboys. Not even have to think about that one.
Absolutely
Cowboys.
I am gonna pick the Cowboys.
No.
But I'm gonna pick the Bears as a moral victory. So I'm gonna take that. Yeah, there's no reason to pick the Bears here. Sorry. Dolphins at the Lions with the Dolphins 3.5 favorites. This is in Detroit. That's
hold on a second. Plus 3.5. So the Lions are plus 3.5, right?
Yeah, the Lions are 3.5. So the Dolphins Dolphins have a 3.5.
No, Dolphins are favored. Yeah. Dolphins. I honestly, I'm a little surprised it's 3.5. I thought this would be bigger. But yeah, Dolphins.
The line is 51 points, 51.5 points. They still think the Lions are going to score points. They didn't see what Goff did last week, so I don't know what they're doing there. But
all of a sudden, the Lions' offense after their bye week got worse.
Yeah.
Well, but
the defense got better. What?
They didn't have the Sun God last week. So if he's healthy and plays in this game, the Lions might be able to score points.
The Lions released their injury report today. Swifty is playing. Sun God is questionable. So that just leaves the rest of our terrible receivers. So we'll see what happens. Cardinals at the Vikings with the Vikings favored by 3.5 points.
This is going to be a really fun game, in my opinion. I think the Cardinals secondary is not that great, and I'm curious to see.
Wait. We didn't talk about this during the Cardinals game. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have to talk about this. Marco Wilson has played like absolute garbage all season. Absolute garbage. He made one play, did a flippy flip into the end zone, and somehow he wins Player of the Week.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know, man. I think Marco he's the one that burned himself, right? He poured like scalding water on himself or something.
That was Antonio Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, I remember one of their corners had a really good training camp and then got hurt.
Yeah, that was Hamilton.
But yeah, I don't know, man. The Cardinals, they didn't invest anything in the defense in the offseason. Like, I was so mad when they drafted that tight end Tyler. What the hell's his name?
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride, thank you, Tyler. I have his autograph too, but yeah, Trey McBride.
Did he sign it, Tyler? I don't think you have his autograph.
No, I don't know. Well, I when they drafted a tight end in the second round, that was especially after trading to get Hollywood Brown with their first round pick. They needed something in the defense after losing Chandler Jones, and I mean, we needed a corner, a defensive back last season. We still need one this season. It's very frustrating. I don't know. This is why Steve Keim should have been fired. Not extended.
Dude.
Anyways.
When they won last Thursday game, all I could think to myself was, We had a chance to get him fired. We had a chance to see Cliff gone.
Do you think
By the
they
way,
would have fired him?
I think that there was a chance. He would have been more on the hot seat from the
I don't
things that
think.
I read.
The way that they extended him and Keim, it felt like this season they could have just lost the rest of the way. Keim's not going to fire him, and it doesn't seem like Michael Bidwell gives a shit if he's paying, Keim and for doing nothing. And so it's like
Michael
I didn't have any faith
made
they would have made
some comments last week that made
Oh,
people
see,
think he
I've
might
seen those.
be on the
Yeah.
hot seat. The one thing I didn't mention during the Commanders game, can we ask the Commanders owner why at a rally outside of their stadium she's still calling them the Redskins?
Much like her husband, she is an idiot.
I'm like, there's a reason you don't have that name anymore. And if
Yeah.
you continue to say it in front of people, that is not a good look for you.
Well, maybe they'll
Stop it.
use that as a reason to ban them from the league and force them to sell.
Dude, I
It's-
saw an
it's so
NFL article
ridiculous.
talking about relegation. And I'm like, relegating where? There's no other leagues.
Our own league. They just
Yeah.
throw the Commanders down there. It'll be us and the Lions playing each other every Sunday.
At least we have a 50-50 shot of being champ. Let's go.
Oh man,
So Cardinals Vikings, who's your pick?
I do real quick. I'm sorry because you brought up the Commanders and Dan Snyder. The whole thing with Dan Snyder potentially being forced to sell and Jim Irsay making those comments, like I will believe it when I see it. I'm tired of. There's always something with Dan Snyder, whether it be the cheerleader photo shoot or harassment in the front office. Like there's always something that comes up, and everyone's like, "Oh, he needs to sell. They need to get him out of the league." Yeah, they do, but they haven't yet. And until it actually happens, I don't care. I can't sit here and get my hopes up every time somebody says like, "Well, Dan Snyder needs to be kicked out of the NFL." Yeah, no shit. Every Commanders fan knows that. We all know the guy is an idiot and runs the team terribly, says dumb shit, acts like a misogynist asshole. He's a piece of shit. We all like we as Commander fans are tired of talking about it. Like every time there's an article about it, it's like, yeah, we're aware, but until we actually see the NFL force him out, I'm not going to sit and be like, "Oh, maybe this is the season." No.
Well, hey, okay, as a Suns fan, if Dan Snyder can be pushed out and we're watching, not Dan Snyder, if God, the fucking owner of the Suns, what's his name?
Is it Dan Severn or something like that? I don't know.
No,
I don't
it's,
even remember. Phil something?
Hold on, it'll take me.
Robert
one-
Sarver.
That's
oh,
it,
I
Robert
was
Sarver.
way off. Yeah. Oh, I said Severn
Samsonite?
Sarver. That was close.
Samsonite? Simpson?
So, I was
Simpson?
way off.
Yeah, but if he gets pushed out for the same type of thing, and he's selling his team, Dan Snyder's over here like, I'm chilling. Big chilling. NFL is not the same as the NBA.
Dan Snyder has cost us a new stadium, which I mean would be amazing. I've been to FedEx Field twice, and that place literally does have like sewer pipes bursting and railings falling apart. It is just it's terrible.
That sounds like a death trap.
It's a crappy stadium, and it's in a crappy location. And they like people have wanted to build new stadiums, but then they talk to Dan Snyder and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to deal with this guy. He's an asshole."
No.
And it's just the perception of the team, like the whole Redskin thing is on its own, but just Dan Snyder himself, every time he opens his mouth and everyone's like, "That guy owns the Commanders? That's a shitty football team." Yeah, we are, but it's just the franchise before I was born in the 80s and everything used to be good. And I see these videos of like, Sammy Baugh and all these great teams and people talking about the Redskins as a good team. And I'm like, I have not felt that way since the early 90s about this team. And it's all Dan Snyder's fault. Like we were never going to be good as long as he is continually making bad decisions on and off the field. Anyways, all done. I'm done with my rant about him.
I like it. I like it.
I hate
So who do you think is going to win the Cardinals Vikings? Which
I was actually just stalling because I don't know. No, I hate myself for this, but I'm gonna pick the Cardinals. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have I think it's gonna be high scoring. I think it's Kirk's going to play well against our secondary. I just think the Cardinals, they've got D-Hop. James Conner's out, but Eno looked good. I just feel like the Cardinals will just squeak out a victory. Kirk will throw a bad pick or something. They'll just squeak out a victory.
I would agree, but I'm going to pick the Vikings simply for the fact that it is not prime time, so Cousins won't screw up. So
I just count on him screwing up because he's Kirk Cousins. No, I really think this is going to be a exciting game to watch. Like week 2 of last year, where the Cardinals won on the missed field goal at the end. The Vikings missed the field goal. That was a high scoring game. Like it was an exciting game. I think it's going to be like that, and I think the Cardinals just squeak out a victory.
All right. I mean, I would be okay with that, but I don't think that. Who did they play on Thursday last week?
The Saints.
Yeah, the Saints. That until those interceptions, they just looked like the same Cardinals they have been. So
you know what? I'm sorry. I have to switch my pick. I just remembered the new Call of Duty came out a couple days ago, so Kyler's busy playing that. I'm gonna switch to the Vikings.
Are you really?
Yes. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, it came out last night.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. No, I'm going to the Vikings.
There's no way that Kyler's not playing that right now. Like literally right now.
He literally at this moment.
He might be on Twitch right now.
He's literally, if we went into a lobby right now, he would be playing.
K1.
I saw a TikTok, and I don't know if this is true, but it made me laugh. Nick Chubb, the night before games, will log on to his PlayStation to see what of his teammates are online. And if he sees any of them online, he'll text them and tell them to get off and go to bed because it's a game tomorrow. And somebody put that and then said, the Cardinals need to trade for Nick Chubb.
Can you imagine? Well, you know what? I take that back. The Cardinals have had so many halfbacks they just turned into garbage. Never mind.
I know, but that was just the joke about him getting Kyler Murray to stop playing Call of Duty.
Raiders at the Saints. Raiders up favored by 1.5 points, so you might as well call it even.
Definitely Raiders. I'm not picking Andy Dalton.
That's so confusing. Jameis Winston's not hurt. Why is Andy Dalton starting?
They're just tanking, I guess. I don't know.
They gotta be. They gotta be.
I mean, has Winston, was he bad? He wasn't even bad when he was healthy. I remember in the beginning, like the first week or two, him and Michael Thomas were looking good.
Yeah. Thomas has been hurt, so of course, me picking him was cursed him again. Chris Olave is about the only thing going for that offense. Alvin Kamara is just Alvin Kamara. Everyone loves that dude, but I think he's just average. So
they've all underwhelmed this season, and maybe it's Sean Payton being gone. Who knows?
Can I make a caveat to my pick? Can I pick the Raiders and then pick the Saints if somehow Jameis Winston starts?
I don't think that works.
I can't pick the Saints with Dalton, but I can pick them with Winston.
You said, I was listening, and you said last week with Wink that picks lock when the podcast ends. So unless they announce Jameis Winston the starter in the next half hour, or however long it takes us to finish.
Where's their Twitter? I gotta keep an eye on it.
DM them real quick. Are we sure Jameis isn't going to start?
All right, so you picked the Broncos. So I do have one game I can get on you so far. Patriots favored at the Jets. Makes no goddamn sense. They're favored by 2.5 points.
It's, man, I know. I can't. I know that they're favored because it's Bill Belichick and he always beats the Jets or whatever. Like that's their big thing is like, well, his history against the Jets. And I get that. But I'm gonna go with the Jets. And I know you are too because you're typing it. But
I've got Chrome. Opera. I've got it up on the screen so everyone can kind of see as we pick. But I have picked the Jets.
Bourne said Patriots have won the last 12 against the Jets. That's the only reason they're favored. is because
But
Belichick has beat the Jets 12 times in a row.
how many of those games have they played two different quarterbacks in the same game?
Oh, and I'm sure we'll see Bailey Zappi in this game too.
Yeah, exactly.
Mac Jones is gonna like bite his tongue or something, and they'll bench him for Bailey Zappi. I don't know, but
Not to mention the Jets are way better than all those other terrible Jet teams.
yes, well, and that's the thing. Like everyone's like, well, he's beaten 12 in a row, which means that 6 years ago the Jets beat them. Like streaks are made to be broken. You know, it's the way it works. And I said Jets, so you can type that in. I just the Patriots being favored thing is what bugs me, because the Jets are home, which means that you talk about like that home buffer, which is usually like a point or a point and a half. So the Vegas has the Patriots favored by 2.5. All right, the Patriots favored by 2.5, meaning that they think they're going to win by like 4. And that is just, it's insulting, man. Like you can't just sit there and look at the history of what's happened, because 6 times in a row, some of those games they had Tom Brady. You can't base decisions off of what's always gone on in the past only because things change, players change, teams change, coaches change. It's irresponsible for Vegas to be like, well, the Patriots are favored because Belichick beats the Jets a bunch. Well, great, but he doesn't always. He's lost to the Jets at some point in his coaching career. He's going to do it again on Sunday. All right. Well, you're not here, but I'm going to move on to the next game.
For me is that the Jets are at home. If the Patriots are at home, I would give a little more leeway on that. But the Jets are at home. They're a good team. It doesn't make sense to me. So, all right, next up you've got the Steelers at the Eagles, with the Eagles favored. The Eagles are favored by 11 points.
That's crazy. I'm definitely going to pick the Eagles, obviously. But 11 points, that's...
I would pick the Steelers to cover this. I'm going to pick the Eagles, but I would pick the Steelers to cover this. Because the Eagles
I agree.
Play every game close.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was looking up just now, because they always slow down in the second half when they get a lead. They beat the Lions by 3, the Vikings by 17, okay, Commanders by 16, but Jaguars 8, Cardinals 3, Cowboys 9. So, well, 11 points. I mean, they did beat the Commanders by 16, and us and the Steelers are pretty comparable teams. So, I would still bet the Steelers to cover, but I could theoretically see the Eagles beating up on them.
To be honest, if Kenny Pickett throws 3 interceptions, like seems to be his favorite thing to do,
his MO,
they'll lose that for sure. But I'm basing this solely on the Eagles being a good team that likes to give teams shots at winning and then pulling it out in the end.
Yeah. Well, they like to slow down in the second. You know, they don't like to run up the score, which is fine. But yeah, I'd bet that cover. 11 is a lot of points, and you know, even if the Steelers get out to a 14-0 lead and then kind of put on cruise control, the Steelers could get to 7. So
yeah. Let's go with Titans at Texans next. Titans are favored by 2 points. They don't foresee a lot of scoring in this game. It's 40 is the over-under.
I'm surprised that this is only 2. I'm definitely taking the Titans.
See, I can see this one definitely being close, but I was the only person between you, me, and Wink last week that took the Texans, and then they lost. So I can't take the Texans again on good conscience. So I will take the Titans only because I don't want to give up another point on the Texans when I shouldn't.
You don't want to be screwed by the Texans again?
Yeah. This one we might be able to differ on. Commanders at Colts. Colts favored by 3 points. Are you going to take Sam Erlinger and the Colts over your Commanders?
What's funny? The fact that the Colts are favored by 3 starting Sam Ehlinger
is pathetic. When I saw that, I was
very, yeah. It's very embarrassing as a Commanders fan for Vegas to be like, well, they're starting Sam Ehlinger. They'll still beat him by 3. Make it a point, or like, I mean, at least give us a little bit of credit and make it 1.5.
They gave the Patriots credit against the Jets.
I know.
More credit.
It's so
They gave the Rams credit against the Niners. Like,
well, yeah, the Rams have talent.
they haven't shown it.
Freaking like insulting, man. I am taking the Commanders. I don't usually pick my own team because my thought process is always, well, if I bet against them and they win, I'm happy because they won. If I bet against them and they lose, I'm happy because I win my bet. I like to cover my bases, but it's the Colts. It's Sam Ellinger. Yeah, they've got Jonathan Taylor, but if we slow down Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, I mean, if we can slow down Jonathan, and I think we slowed down Derrick Henry when we played the Titans. So if we can do it to Jonathan Taylor, Sam Ellinger's not going to beat us.
By the way, you haven't picked a confidence game yet. Is this the one?
I haven't. No, I have my confidence. I already know what mine is.
All
right. Well, actually, Derrick Henry, we didn't slow him down at all. 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right. Never mind.
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm still picking the Commanders though. It could go either way. Honestly, it's the Commanders, but I was
dead set on picking the Commanders, but I was also dead set on being different than you in this game. So I'm gonna take the Colts.
All right, that's a good one. It's you look at it like the Broncos, Jags, this game, Giants, Seahawks. I mean, there are a couple games that are coin flips. So I don't fault you for wanting to be a little different.
We'll see what happens there. If the Commanders win, I'm going to be kicking myself because that's who I wanted to pick. But I also didn't want to pick the same team as you in this one. And I was dead set on you not
I screwed you then.
Well,
and I usually don't.
When you pick first. 49ers at the Rams.
I tell you what. Do you want to switch? I'll take the Colts and you take the Commanders?
Unlike the rest of the picks, this one locked in when it ended. So we're staying
all right, that's
where
fine.
we're at.
I'm picking my team, because I can't pick Sam Ellinger. But in my mind, I could see either team winning. So I honestly, I'm not really that dead set on wanting to pick, But I'm fine. I'll stick where it is.
Next up, you've got the 49ers at the Rams, with the 49ers favored by 1.5. Cam Akers was at a healthy scratch last week somehow?
Yeah, and he is again too. I can't believe they haven't traded him yet. They want him. They want nothing to do with him. The problem is the 49ers I saw today are going to be missing Deebo Samuel and a couple of other people in this game, which makes me nervous. And it is in LA. Gosh. I'm gonna go with the 49ers though. The Rams haven't shown me anything yet to really excite me, and the 49ers I think are going to use CMC a lot more in this game. So even though they'll be missing Deebo Samuel, I think they'll be okay.
I think CMC is going to go crazy. I also think that the Rams defensive backs are going to destroy Garoppolo. So I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah. And that one is into the 49ers.
That one is a 1.5 point difference. So it's a wash either way. It could have gone either way. I'm going the opposite way. I'm going with my guys' team, Matthew Stafford and the Rams.
Yes.
I'm going there.
I like it. Sticking with Stafford. And
here comes one that's just another one of these wash. Well, okay. Somebody explain to me how all the afternoon games and primetime games are always the hard ones to pick every week, but they make the schedule before they know what's going to happen. This is crazy. So the next team we've got is the Giants at the Seahawks. Seahawks are favored by 3 points. Giants can get no respect, by the way. No respect.
I know. This is, yeah, God, there
Giants
really
are underdogs
every week. Games.
Every week.
Man, this is really hard.
Bourne says Rams favorite to trade for Kareem Hunt. This trade deadline coming up Tuesday is going to be crazy, especially considering all the trades we've had in the last week. It's going to be real fun to see what happens.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if the Rams do make a move for Hunt because they love to trade for people. I mean, they trade all of their picks all the time. So
At least in that one, they don't have
definitely
to
see
give
that.
up a first.
Yeah,
Do they even have a first? Or the Lions have their next two firsts?
I think their Lions still has their for next first. Yeah,
Text two. They got 3 for fucking Safford. Did they
well,
get
it
3? I'm
wasn't
pretty sure they got
last. Did they got 3? That's nuts.
3. I can't remember. I know they got this year's. So
Boy, I'm gonna
thank
go to
goodness they're bad. Maybe I should
Seahawks.
pick the 49ers so they continue to lose. That's good for the Lions. Let's go.
No, you got to stick with the Rams. That way they'll lose. Oh,
Yeah, well, we're tied this year, okay?
I know.
Listen,
Those jokes were funnier when I was leading.
when you're up by 4, the bangers. Not banging now. All right.
Yeah, I'm going Seahawks.
You're going sea chickens, huh?
I'm going Seahawks. Only because I keep underestimating Geno Smith in Seattle, and they keep proving me wrong. So this time I'm gonna overestimate them and see what happens.
I'm going to base this solely on halfbacks, and if you're going Barkley against Kenneth Walker, I'm going to pick Barkley.
Oh yeah,
so
it's actually good. There are 2 great halfbacks in this game.
This is going to be. Is this? How many games do we got? We got. So this is just a afternoon game. I would almost rather. The Cardinals aren't playing an afternoon game since they're at the Vikings.
No.
I might watch this game.
I'll be watching the Commanders and Colts because that's actually an afternoon game for some reason.
Okay, listen. I want to watch this game, but as a secondhand Commanders fan, that is probably the one I will watch.
Thank you.
Before
you
I
can
fall,
watch it
before I
for the
fall
first
asleep.
Yeah.
Before I fall
First
asleep.
quarter until Sam Ellinger has 200 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, then you can put
I
on
will
whatever
sleep
game you want.
so good if the Colts are up by 14 points.
Rude. Rude.
Packers at the Bills. Best stat of this game. This is the first time ever that Aaron Rodgers is a over double-digit underdog in a game. The Bills are favored by 11.5 points over the Packers.
I love it, and not only am I picking the Bills, but this is my confidence pick. I'm going to say the Bills win by 14.
Okay, well, that is... So they have to win by 14 for you to get the point.
14 or more. 2 full touchdowns. I think they are going to smash Aaron Rodgers in his smug little face.
Wait, okay. I thought that was Barnes in the chat. That is Brick. Of course he's picking the Packers. Is that your confidence pick, Brick?
Brick.
Is that your confidence pick, Brick? You're picking the Packers?
I thought he was just laughing at the Packers, saying Packers LOL. That's what I say too. I say
I agree.
Packers ha ha ha.
LOL.
Packers ha ha ha. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills for sure.
You don't want to be different? You sure? You don't want to be different?
I've been different for 3 straight games. This is not the one. Especially to pick Aaron Rodgers. So, Barnes, you're a Bears fan. Of course you'll never pick the Packers. You're a real one. Richie, did you know that? Did you know Barnes was a Bears fan?
I did. I saw he put the bear down earlier in the chat. I appreciate that.
I did. That was actually, I think of that like stocks. The Bears stock is going down. That's what I always see. Bengals minus Jamar Chase at the Browns. The Bengals favored by 3.
I'd make a joke right now, but it would set you off on another tangent. We're already over 2 hours.
I'm really good at tangents. No, I actually want to know what you're going to say.
I was just going to say, I mean, as far as stocks go, the Bears stock is above the Lions stock in the standings by 2 games. So, I mean, you can talk trash and make jokes.
The Lions soon.
Scoreboard.
The Lions soon will be the best team in the XFL. So suck it, Trebek.
That's the relegation. That's where we're going, is the XFL.
Listen, the XFL Under the Rock will stay around. That's all.
Dude, I can't wait to watch the XFL Under the Rock. I am excited. I just wish there was a team geographically located somewhere I could root for. There's no Phoenix team. I don't even think there's a Washington team that I could correlate to the Commanders. But yeah.
There you go, Brick. I got you in the standings there.
Packers over the Bills by 6. Boy, Brick, how much are you drinking tonight?
I know he started drinking supposedly a couple hours before the stream. So
it shows with that pick.
I don't know if he's still going. I've finished my freaking 1.5 liters of sangria. So
we had a lot of catching up to do. That's why we're well over 2 hours into this podcast now.
Bengals at the Browns. Bengals favored. I'm picking I don't even know who to pick. With Jamar Chase out, I don't even know I don't know what side's up here.
I'm picking the Bengals. I'm not worried about. Jamar Chase is big, but Tyler Boyd's still a very underrated receiver. T. Higgins, Hayden Hurst is having a good season. Joe Mixon. I'm picking the Bengals.
I don't think there's any world where the Bengals aren't the pick here. So I'm glad that between me and Wink and our fantasy sleepers for week 7, you didn't look up the stats for your segment.
I didn't, because they were your picks.
CeeDee Lamb versus the Lions. He did well, as far as I remember. I'm not looking this shit up. All right, so what do you got for picks in week 8?
So I see you didn't even fill in picks for this segment. So
I always make my picks after we go over our picks, so that I can pick players that I think are going to do well in my picks.
You can also do that before, but that's okay.
I'm not doing that.
So quarterback, I mentioned this earlier. The Cardinals secondary unimpresses me. Kirk Cousins, he's the 12th ranked quarterback on ESPN. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think he's going to have a pretty good game.
All right. I am looking. I'm searching my picks. And I have decided. I haven't decided. That's a lie. We'll come back to that.
I'll tell you what, while you're making your pick, I can look up last week's for you guys.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
We'll multitask.
Multitasking here. I'm looking for a QB. I think he's going to be the guy this week.
Oh, let's see here. So we're going to look at Jamar Chase first, or CeeDee Lamb, sorry. 10.6. No, he didn't do very well.
CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb scored 10.6 last week, so not great.
It's like 4 catches and 60 yards. That's
You also had Alec Pierce on there.
He did terrible. I know
see
that
him. Yeah. Paris Campbell, man. All of a sudden, he was like the boy last week. So good for him. Joe Mixon, 18.1. He was. It was like 12th, 13th at running back. That was a good pick. Oh, it was Wink.
Wink said he's like, can I pick Joe Mixon? Is that a sleeper? And I'm like, I'm gonna give it to you. So
I mean, it's not a sleeper per se. It was but whatever. Daniel Jones, he was the 4th quarterback, so that actually was a fantastic pick.
Nice.
And then Tanyan touchdown. I don't think he did. I think all their touchdowns were scored by AJ Jones. So Aaron Jones, I mean. But yeah, he got Daniel Jones. That was a good one. I'm not giving him Mixon. He doesn't get credit for picks and Mixon.
Picks and Mixon.
Ramondre Stevenson was the 4th running back, so that was a great pick for you. Alec Pierce did not do well, and then Kenyon Drake. I know he didn't do well because his stat line was 11 carries for 5 yards. No idea how the hell he did that.
How do you do that?
No idea how he did that. But Ramondre Stevenson, that was a great pick. So,
all right, I picked my quarterback. I'm taking Matthew Stafford against the 49ers.
All right. I like that one. I think Stafford, Cooper Kupp, of course, is going to get his. And with I think the 49ers defense is banged up a bit, so he might have a pretty good game. Running back one with Miles Sanders against Pittsburgh. If Eagles do get out to an early lead and they'll start running the ball, He is the 17th ranked running back right now. I think he should have a pretty good day. Not to mention the Steelers are bad against the run, so yeah, he should do all right.
All right, well, I've got James Robinson on his new team, the Jets, against the Patriots.
I like it.
I just feel like even without a lot of time to practice this week, he is starting. He will be fine.
Yeah, I think Michael Carter will be involved, but James Robinson, he's such a good running back. He doesn't get, much love, so I like that one. And that's a deep sleeper. He's projected to score like 6 points, so you don't need much from him for him to break out
to win that one.
Yeah. My receiver, I'm doing this because Debo's out. Brandon Ayuk versus the Rams. He's the 20th ranked wide receiver right now. And I mean, I don't know if that's going to change with Debo out. They might change that over the weekend. But when I looked it up today, he was 20th. I think CMC is going to get a lot of love, but Ayuk does get involved when Debo misses games. So I think he should have a pretty good day.
I'm going to take Tyler Boyd to fill in for Jamar Chase, or fill in for T. Higgins, who's filling in for Jamar Chase on the Bengals against the Browns.
Is T. Higgins is he hurt?
If he is, that's just more points for me. But I don't think he is.
Okay. Oh, you mean because now Boyd's the number 2 and Higgins was the number 2. I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
For a minute, you scared me. I thought Higgins was out too, and I'm going to be like, I need to change my pick.
Higgins becomes the number 1 who might get doubled in certain situations. So
very true. Yeah, Tyler Boyd, it is a bummer. Because I have Chase in 2 leagues, and when he went down, I'm like, I need to pick somebody up. And of course, Tyler Boyd's already owned everywhere. Tight end, I went with a deep cut. I went with Tommy Tremble from Carolina. He caught a touchdown last week. PJ Walker looked for him in the end zone, and just for the hell of it, I decided to go super deep at tight end, and I went with him. He's the 37th ranked tight end. Atlanta is not very good against the tight end, according to ESPN. So I thought, well, if Walker likes him, maybe he'll throw him another touchdown.
I'm going to go for a second time this season with Will Dissly versus the Giants, only because Will Dissly seems to be Geno Smith's favorite tight end target.
Yeah, it's surprising to me how much people still talk about Noah Fant when Will Dissly is their leading receiver as tight end. Yeah. Like, I know Fant's involved, but Dissly is
picking Jimmy
number
Graham
1
when he was there. He didn't do anything either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a weird one. Like, I'm looking at it right now, and they have Noah Fant projected more than Will Dissly, and it's like Will Dissly has outscored him to this point in the season. Why does ESPN still think Noah Fant? Oh, because he's the younger one. They don't care. It's clearly Geno Smith likes Dissly. They've got a connection. That's the tight end he's throwing to.
That's the one that's going to score the points. That's all I'm saying.
But there you go. There's our fantasy sleepers for this week.
That's it.
I think that's it. I think we nailed it. We knocked it out in a little almost 2.5 hours. Took us a little bit longer than usual because we had to catch up and rant about the Commanders and the Lions a bit more. We had pent up. I had a lot of pent up ranting about Dan Snyder that I'd unload.
I could literally rant about Jared Goff for 2.5 hours in itself. So, thanks everybody.
I'm curious. I asked you this real quick before we go. I asked you this before, and you said you didn't care. For quarterbacks next year, say the Lions get the number 1 pick, they get their choice. Do you have a favorite? You don't know yet? Okay.
I haven't really looked into it. I honestly know this is the only thing I know. I don't care who it is. I mean, I don't right now because I don't know the differences between them. They should have taken. There's no reason they didn't take a quarterback this past year. I mean, they dropped their 2 backups and then picked up Nate Sudfeld as their backup. And then that's where they are with quarterbacks. So
and you look at how late all those quarterbacks ended up going. Like, it's, dude.
They had every chance in the world to take a quarterback. Even if they took one in the 6th round, they didn't do anything. I do not care. If we had a 5th rounder as the backup to Goff at this point, I'd be like, throw him in and see what he can do. I don't care. I don't care about Nate Sudfeld.
No.
Nate Sudfeld will do as bad as Jared Goff or worse. That's just the way it is. Right now, all we can do is play Jared Goff. They should have picked a quarterback last year. If they don't pick a quarterback this next year, I don't know what the hell they're doing. And if that's the case, I don't believe in our GM anymore. I don't believe in our quarterback or our coach anymore, because that's the main thing. I believe in Dan Campbell. I still believe in Dan Campbell.
I do too.
He makes some dumb fucking decisions, but I'm still behind him. He has not lost me yet. But yeah, if they don't take a quarterback in the offseason, Dan Campbell will always be on the hot seat every week when I watch them. So
now, all I'll say about that, the thought hasn't even crossed my mind that they wouldn't be drafting a quarterback in the first round. Jared Goff, I just looked this up. They can save $20.6 million by cutting him. There's no justification to keep that guy on the roster at $30 million next year.
Especially if you get the number 1 pick. There's no reason. Just get rid of him.
Even if your thought process is, well, we'll draft CJ Stroud and then sit him. Great. Sit him behind guy you signed as a free agent. Don't sit him behind $30 million Jared Goff. Yeah. Like, that would just be irresponsible. Not just dumb.
There's no reason for Goff to be on our team. I don't think there's any reason for being on our team starting next year. There's definitely no reason for him to be on our team starting next year if we have the worst record in the NFL. Goodbye.
If the Lions end up with a top 5 pick and don't draft a quarterback, I don't know, man. I like that doesn't even make sense in my head. I can't imagine that scenario. The only way is like if they suddenly start winning games and it's like, well, we're picking 15th and all the quarterbacks are gone. All right, wait till the second round then.
We got Jammo last year in the first round, and we got Aiden Hutchinson in the first round. 2 awesome picks. If we get a top 5 pick, take a quarterback, we still have a first round pick from the Rams to take another position of need. We're not losing out. You have to take a quarterback in the first round, whether it's with that first pick or with the Rams pick. It doesn't matter to me. You have to take one.
I agree.
There's no getting around it. You have to.
I'm pretty sure the fans would storm the stadium if they didn't.
Like for real. All right. Well, the one thing I wanted to mention at the beginning of the podcast that I didn't mention, I'll have to make sure to mention next week, is that our Discord is live, and it is a lot of fun stuff going on in there now already. We got a lot of cool people, a lot from our old podcast, a lot of good football fans in there. And we want to really get that going. So if you have not been there, go check it out. Discord.me/CoffinCorner. Discord.me/CoffinCorner. There's an invite to the Discord server there. That's where you can hang out. That's where you can find out the days that we are for sure doing the podcast. It is a Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific thing until we move over to Mountain Time here in Arizona, because we don't do daylight savings time. So eventually it's going to be moving an hour later or earlier. I don't know, depending on where you live, I guess. But
it'll be an hour later because we're Pacific time right now. So we'll still be doing it at 8 p.m. our time.
Yeah.
But that will be
but since we don't change with daylight savings times, we'll be moving from Pacific to Mountain Time.
Oh, I guess it is an hour earlier then, because that would be because that's 7 p.m. Pacific time then. So it actually is an hour earlier we'll be doing it. All right.
Perfect. So look forward to that. That's coming up. You can find us on Twitter at Coffin Corners. You can find us on TikTok at Coffin Corner Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Coffin Corner Podcast. Right now, we are not affiliate on Twitch yet, which means that our podcast VODs disappear after 1 week. I upload them to YouTube. You can watch any podcast episode that we record on YouTube at any time. So go there if you are wanting to go back and see some of the older stuff. That's where you can find it. And that's pretty much it. So we will be back next week for episode 12, covering this week's games and going into next week's games. But yeah, you got anything else you want to tell the peoples, Rich?
That is it. I think we covered everything in this 2.5 hours. I think
There's no way we missed
everything that we needed to talk about. I think we talked about it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate everybody that was hanging out in the Twitch chat. Barnes, enjoy the rest of work. I hope you are good. Enjoy your stat research for us in the chat. That really helps us out. And as far as everybody else goes that's listening in the Discord and everywhere else, we appreciate you. Thanks for all your support, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. See you next week.
Later.